Hey, what's up? What's up, collecting crew, and welcome. This is How You Figure, episode 6. I know, out of the blue, right? What's this How You Figure business? Yeah, to be honest, I've been slacking on this video series slash live stream, but this is a video series where I get like a certain topic related to collecting action figures. Either most likely 1/6 is where it focuses on, but I get a topic and then myself and some panelists join and we discuss that certain topic. So I haven't been too many, as you can probably tell from the channel, but the ones that are included are one such as this, a yearly recap of the 1/6 figure. So this is the third time I've been doing this. This is the third annual, I guess. 2026 1/6 scale recap. And so, yeah, thank you for joining. If you're tuning in live, first and foremost, appreciate you. Thanks for spending your Sunday. I'm Jay Feezy, and of course, this is Feezy's Figures. I noticed there's a busy day for streaming. There's quite a bit of streams going on. I had no idea. So, I mean, all good, right? Even if you're not able to catch this live, there's always a replay. You know, don't blame anyone. You know, that's what they're there for. So I do that myself. I can't catch them all. So I definitely understand. But thank you again to those who are tuning in live. So yeah, How You Figure 2025 1/6 scale recap. This one, you got to be honest, it took a lot of time and effort, more than I thought, even though I already had the template from last year, but still, you know, this is took some preparation, so hopefully you all enjoy this, or at least find it informative. Yeah, so there is a interactive trivia portion here that I'm going to start off with to get you guys involved, like I mentioned when I appeared on some previous streams, that I just opened that trivia up to the panelists at the time, but now I figured, you know, I want to switch it up, make it more interactive, so I'm going to involve the chat. Speaking of, I'm going to address the chat here real quick so I can find out if I'm good or not. Here we go. We got in the chat joining us, S Beam in the house. What is up, S Beam? Feezy's 20 or we riot, man. I'm campaigning that hashtag there, that front. Look, always going on. He's a big fan of Feezy's 20. Chat, let me know, since for right now I'm rolling solo. I may or may not get some guests later on. If not, no worries. But yeah, because of that, just let me know how my audio and video is coming in. You know, I think I checked it. I keep, like, I'm paranoid now. I keep double checking on my mutes, making sure I'm good. Music volume and all that. So yeah, just let me know how I'm coming through. But yeah, thanks Beam for coming through. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Hopefully I can pronounce this right. The Chinmin World, thank you for coming through. 2019, appreciate it. I think it's the first time I've seen the channel, but always appreciate new welcome viewers, especially, you know, first time viewers. So appreciate you giving me the opportunity to see what the channel's all about, and thank you for your time as well. So yeah, appreciate it. Jose Plus in the house. What's up, Feezy? Says Jose, what is up, my good man? Jose Plus, friend of the channel. In case you missed it, I know I mentioned this before, but Mas o Menos, he hosted a episode of Mas o Menos recently on 1/6 fixes and his own channel. I know he has his own channel that he's trying to get going as well. So I'll put the link in the description below afterwards if you missed that. The most recent one, Mas o Menos, features a segment called King Shark Tank, which is just like Shark Tank. I'm sure you're all aware of what Shark Tank is, right? So contestants in this case pitching figure ideas. Yeah, it was a fun episode. We had Viking Collectibles going up Gym Collector. Yeah, they had some great presentations. So be sure to check that out if you haven't already. Thanks for coming through, Jose. Subbed, much appreciated Chinmin World. Really appreciate that. Thank you for the support. Again, as a first time viewer, I'm always grateful for everyone's time and support. So much appreciated. I know you didn't have to do that. Like Pokemon. Oh, is that what? I'm already forgetting. Did I make a reference to Gotta Catch 'Em All? But yeah. And then speaking of, yeah, I just now noticed this is one of the few times I've been doing the horizontal and vertical streaming options. So if you're watching on the vertical for mobile-based viewing and you want to switch it over to horizontal, there is a separate link for that on my channel. So just be sure you look out for that. It's the link without the phone icon. I'm sure a lot of you probably are catching on, but for those that aren't yet, there's two separate link streams for that, so horizontal and vertical. And those, last I checked, the chats are separate, so just keep that in mind as well. So if you're kind of seeing, if I'm pulling up some comments, some chats here that you're not seeing, that's probably because in the other chat. So yeah, much appreciated, Bean. Thanks for confirming audio is good. Yeah, thank you. Channel supporter, friend of the channel, and moderator. So thanks on both those ends. Beam, appreciate that. And of course, another supporter, friend of the channel, and moderator. We got Geo, the movie canon, in the house. Figures Talk every Friday. I try to make it on there when I can. This past Friday, the 16th, he hosted his annual 2025 1/6 scale figure awards there. So he unveiled the results and the winners for that one. That was a fun stream. So if you haven't already checked that out, like I said, friend of the channel, his link is in that section of my channel, the Friends of the Channel section. So yeah, thanks for coming through, Gio. Appreciate it, man. All right. Okay, so let me go ahead and pull this up here so I can get you guys started. Like I said, there is a trivia, interactive trivia involved here. I'm going to start it off hopefully on a good note or a good start here, make it fun. So I'm going to share this. All right, so this is Blookit is the website I ended up going with for this. So this is, I know off the bat it is, it was intended to be used for educational elementary school students, right? I mean, it's simple, it's basic, but it was also free 99. So I figured I'd take advantage. You can have up to 60, I think 60 players on this. So how this works is you go to the website. So there's multiple ways to join here. You go to the website, play.blookit.com, right? That's on here on the screen. Or you can scan the QR code, however you want to do it. If you want to play on your PC, desktop, or your mobile device, you can go there. And then you enter this code here, this 830266. You don't need an account. I checked this before. And so you shouldn't need an account. You just type in whatever name you want. It doesn't have to be your YouTube name, your actual name. You can type in whatever name you want because the names will show up on the screen after each question. And so, yeah, it should be free for you to sign up. You shouldn't have to create an account. You just join in and put up a username. Choose your little like icon, your Blookit icon, I think they call them. This is the first time I'm actually using this like here with you guys. I've tested it, like I said, myself with just myself, and it seemed to be straightforward, but hopefully this goes through okay. Let's see here. What else? Yeah, you enter the code here once you get there. Oh yeah, so how this is gonna work is, so this is trivia where accuracy and timing like gets you more points, right? So I'll have the question and then multiple choice answers, and you just got to get it correct. And if you get it fast enough, you get more points. And so they're all on there. The quicker you answer, the more points you'll get. And then it's just friendly competition. There's no prize on the end for this one anyways. And so, yeah, like I said, I just wanted to try this and see how this goes. And it should come up here. But you don't have to do this. Again, it's completely optional. If you just want to be anonymous and not put in your name and just play mentally while you're watching or listening, that's fine too. Like I said, I just put this in here so in case you guys wanted to play along. Each question you'll have 30 seconds, so I think that's enough time. I kind of timed it myself, and that should be enough time. I'll read the questions as we go along too, and hopefully you guys have enough time to do that. So I'll give that a few minutes in case there's anyone. Let me continue addressing the chat here while you guys sign up and do that, and let me know if you have any questions here in the chat. Hopefully that kind of hopefully you guys get through okay. Let's see, Jose Plus. Thanks for always giving love to the show. Yeah, man. Definitely. You're doing, I will say, side note, I started watching since the beginning, of course. I try to catch them all, if not live, if on the replays. And definitely see the progression, man. You are getting better, so props to you. I definitely see that, it's just kind of like with anything else, like all of us, right? Myself included. In the beginning, I'm sure all my stuff was cringe AF. It probably still is to some of you, but just like anything else, right? The more you do it, the better you get, and the more fluid it gets. I still make mistakes myself, but Jose, yeah, I just noticed your progression, man. You're getting better and better with each episode becoming host. So yeah, kudos, shout out to you, man. Shout out to you. Let's see here. El says we need to chat about getting you back on guest shows before your tournament matchup. Oh yeah, yep. I got my redemption matchup coming up. So yeah, when if I'm able to, man, I would definitely like to get on there. I think next few weeks it's gonna be busy for me. So hence why I'm doing this stream now. I mean, I kind of was in a pinch to get this done. So to tell you the truth, this stream and prep for it because I'm gonna be busy the next few weeks here. But all right, let's see. We'll give it a few more minutes here. Again, if you want to, we're gonna do the interactive chat or interactive trivia. If you want to play, just go to play.blookit.com here on the screen. Type in that code, and then that should take you to this trivia game here. There's also a QR code that you can scan there if you want to do that. Let me see if I can put the link in the chat here. See if that works. Yeah, I don't know if it shows up as a link. I don't know how. Maybe I have to do that on the YouTube side. But yeah, there you go, right there. Yeah, And then Valkyrie Magnus in the house. My man Magnus, what is up, my friend? Easy on my lunch break. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I know you had to, you're taking the sacrifice for a lot of us who have the day off, myself included, hence why I'm doing this on a atypical Monday. Yeah, I normally don't stream on Mondays, but I had the day off today, so I figured I might as well. Like I said, I'm going to be busy, so this is probably like the best time for me to get this done. But all right. Looks like we lost some people here. Oh, they're coming back. Okay. All right, yeah, a couple more minutes. I think I saw Geo in there. Let me wait for at least Geo to come back. And you can join late, too. I think there's an option where I put if you want to join late, you can do that as well. But I'll wait for Geo here. I don't know if Geo's going to be playing still or not. If not, then we'll go and start here. There he is. All right, I think that's good for now. Okay, here we go. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get this started. And then after all of these questions, I'll go ahead and go back and I'll touch on some of these questions and provide a little more feedback on that. Oh man, we keep losing people, but okay, here we go. Starting off the trivia game. Again, if you want to jump in late, you can play.blookit.com, enter this code here, and then you should be able to just put in a username, select your icon, and then you should be good to go. But here we go. All right. Here we go, getting ready. First question. How many figures did Hot Toys release in 2025? All scales, not including deluxes, sets, or optional artisans. So these are all just unique figures, right? If a figure has a deluxe, I'm not including that. It's just a figure by itself. Or sets, right? I'm not counting sets as one. I'm just counting the figure. And then if a figure had an optional artisan, I'm not counting as well. So 103, 104, 102, or 105. Let's see here. Oh man, so far no one's got it right. Yeah, I know that one's kind of weird because there's the I know people count them differently on that one. But let's see here. What I counted. Oh, here goes the next one. I guess yeah, I'll touch on later. Okay, here we go. How many artisan figures were released? 9, 7, 6, or 8? Man, so it's just going bam, bam, bam. Okay, so yeah, I'll come back and I'll address these answers here. How many artisan figures were released? 9, 7, 6, or 8? Let's see here. This is obviously all, these are based on 2025, last year as a recap. Let's see, oh, Brian got that one. 6, yeah, quick with the quickness, followed by Geo. All right, so far Brian's in the lead, then Geo, and then Beam in third. Okay, here we go. Next question. Which Hot Toys series / wave had the most figures released, right? Not the brand, not like DC or Marvel, but more specific, like the, here the answer is Star Wars Episode 3, The Clone Wars, Ahsoka, or Deadpool and Wolverine. So which Hot Toys series wave had the most figures released? Episode 3, The Clone Wars, Ahsoka, or Deadpool and Wolverine? 3, 2, 1, bam. All right. Oh, Beam got that one with the quickness. 6 points, and Brian, sorry, Gio, missed that one. But it was a good guess. Right? You got a 1 in 4 chance there. Okay, here we go. Next question. So there's 10 total. You have to add that. But there are 10 total. Which month had the most Hot Toys releases? September, December, March, or April? Which month had the most Hot Toys releases? 4, 3, 2, 1. Beam got that one again with 6 points on that one. All right, so far he was in the lead. Okay, Beam's in the lead with 12, Brian with 9, and then Geo with 3. Okay, here we go. Next question. Which figure took the longest to release? So from announcement to release in 2025. Is it The Flash, from The Flash, Rora Nora, Zorro, One Piece, Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny, or Scarlet Witch Endgame? Which one took the longest to release? Let's see. Bam! Oh, Beam got that one again. Nice. Followed by Brian. Geo missed that one. Just shy. So Superior. Yes, Beam still in the lead. 18, Brian 12, and then Geo 3. Here we go. Next question. Question 6. Which month had the least Hot Toys releases? February, March, October, or June? Which month had the least Hot Toys releases? Let's see, here we go. Oh man, it's scattered. Looks like the answers are scattered here. And oh, Geo got that one. Nice. Geo was quick on the draw on that one. With Beam still in the lead, we got Brian and then Geo on third right so far. Okay, here we go. Question 7. How many Artisan figures were announced in 2025? This is announced. 9, 8, 10, or 7? This is announced. We did release, but this is now announced. How many Artisan figures were announced? 9, 8, 10, 7. That's all Artisans. Announced. Here we go. Oh, unfortunately, no one got that one. And again, I'll go over all these answers afterwards, and we'll do. I'll let you know how I came up with these. And maybe hopefully I got them all right myself. Here we go. Next question. Which character had the most versions of their figure released? So all different versions, right? So is it Iron Man, Darth Vader, Batman, or Wolverine? So which character had the most versions of their figure released, right? This is any version of a specific character. Brian got that one. Nice. Congrats, Brian, on that one. Let's see where he's at now. Oh, Beam and Brian are tied for 18, and Gio's got 9. Oh, man, here we go. 2 more questions left. It's question 9. How many Inart figures were announced? How many Inart figures were announced? 15, 14, 16, or 17? Oh, man, no one got that one. I guess that was a little more tricky. Okay, that one's again, I'll go over that later here in the stream. All right, last question. Here we go. Last question. Question 10. How many figures were not officially sold in the US? 2, 4, 1, or 3? How many figures were not officially sold in the US through Sideshow? Oh, bam, and I guess I just realized now you guys can already see the answers there on the on the screen, but there we go. Results. Oh, man, and first place we got Brian. Dang, came up at the last couple of questions there. Brian took first with the score of 24. S Beam came in second with 18, and Gio got the third place with 9. Nice. Congrats, fellas. Let me see. I gotta definitely play you one of these. Thank you. Appreciate you guys playing along. And then, yeah, hopefully, those of you who just decided to watch, hopefully you got some of those too. And like I said, this try to make it different, switch it up. Hopefully that was fun for you all that played. Let's see here. Let me go back to the questions. I guess I can't here. Whoa, view report. Let me see. Nope. Okay. I guess that just has all the stats here. But yeah. So. Let me go back to some of the questions here. Hopefully I got them right in order. Yeah, so how many figs, all scales, did Hot Toys release? I counted 103. Again, I'm not including like if a figure had standard deluxe, I'm not including like those as separate. That's just one. Like if a figure came with a set, like the dewback, for instance, I didn't count that as one. I just counted the figure, the dewback, or I'm not counting vehicles or things like that. What else? Optional Artisans, like I said, I'm counting like unique figures in that case. And so net all scales, including the 1:1 and the 1/4 scale that was released, the Grogu 1:1 scale, and the Iron Man Mark 6 quarters scale. So I know people count those differently, but I just wanted to mix it up because I know quite a few of us content creators / YouTubers were all tracking this. So I wanted to switch it up a little bit, try to make it a little more tricky there. But yeah, hopefully I got my counting right on that one. How many of those were Artisans? So how many Artisans were released? I have 8, and I will go over those later in a later slide. We're going to cover that. How many Artisans were announced? I counted 11. 11 announced. Let's see here. Wave series with the most releases. Yep, it was Ahsoka. I think a lot of you got that right, if not most of you. It had 8 releases with Ahsoka, and then tied for second was Deadpool and Wolverine, Star Wars Episode 3, and then Clone Wars. They each had 6 releases for last year of 2025. And I saw, let's see here, I saw Red Wolf. Thank you for joining us, by the way. Appreciate it. He says, how many good Artisans released, right? I guess that could have been a follow-up question. How many good Artisans? Yeah. Obviously subjective on that one. Let's see here, but let me see. A month with the most releases. From what I was tracking, and again, I've been tracking these throughout the year, and so hopefully I entered it wrong. I know there could be user errors, so apologies in advance if that was the case, if someone gets something different. But yeah, I tried to be as accurate as possible. But with the most releases, I got April and May were tied, but I don't want to put them both in there, obviously. So I just went with, I think it was April on that one. So that had the most releases. And I just realized I forgot to put how many were in there for April. But the month with the least figures was a tie as well. So February, August, and June, I think I had is what the two separate, or the three, the tied for three for the least amount of figures. Let's see here. How many were not released in the U.S.? That, let's see, if I tracked it correctly, that was 3. And that was the Galen Erso, the Anakin, Sith Apprentice, and the Spider-Man 1978, right? So those the Star Wars one, the Galen Erso, and the Sith Apprentice. Was it Vader? I guess it would be Vader, not Anakin, technically. And I should bring that up. But those were Star Wars Celebration exclusives, right? So those were only sold there, and then obviously the 1978 ultimately didn't get offered here in the U.S. and the States. I know there are people, other countries outside, mainly China, were able to grab that, but those were the first 3. Again, let me know. I may have missed one, but I think those were the only 3 that I was tracking on that. Figure with the longest release date. So from announcement to release was Roronoa Zoro from One Piece. Again, the way I calculate, I didn't have time to convert this to months or years. So if you guys, any in the chat, can have a chance to do that, it's 724 days. So that was how long from announcement to release, 724 days, followed by Indiana Jones, the Island of Destiny, that was 679 days, and The Flash from The Flash was 631 days. So yeah, quite a while on that one. That was almost 2 years for Zoro, right? At least 2 years, right? Because you do 365 times 2, so almost 2 years for that one. Let's see here. So next up, let's see what I had. Which character had the most versions of them released? That was Batman, and I counted 6 different versions of Batman. Again, that's all version iterations released last year. That's the armored and the unarmored from BVS, and what was it, like Dark Knight Returns, like all those iterations. So I counted 6, 7 if you include the Armory. I didn't really include that one, but I mean, I guess if you wanted, either way, it still would have had the most. So 6/7, I'll say. But yeah, thanks again for playing. Let's see, we got Jay Hunter Reviews. Yep, he gets Batman as well. Thank you for joining us, by the way. Appreciate it. Yeah, Magnus on this. Yep, also got Batman. Brian CG, yeah, man, you won. Congrats on that. Yep. Yeah, that was a cool idea. Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I was hoping people would like that. Again, I just wanted to switch it up, and I had to do some research to find out what was there. I know there's a few of them out there, but that, like I said, that was free 99, simple, basic, straightforward. So yeah, hopefully I can try to do it again on feature streams or something outside of How You Figure. But okay, with that, let us go ahead and get to the actual meat of it itself. Like, starting off with Hot Toys. This is mostly going to be a Hot Toys focused stream, obviously, because they have the, as you'll see when I start going through this, they have the bulk of the releases, right? That's pretty much what a lot of collectors are aware of, right? It's just, hence why some people say they're the quote-unquote king, is because they're pushing out the volume, the quantities. And so this is based on absolutely nothing confirmed other than what my perception is of the collecting community, right? The takeaways, the reception that I see from them based on YouTube videos, comments, chats, things like that. So again, I could be off on this one, so no promises, disclaimer. Some of these you may not agree with. Some of these I may have maybe read the room wrong on some of these, but like I said, I'm just wanted to at least kind of put a summary together of a year in review for 1/6 scale in general. Okay, so starting off with the lows here, the Hot Toys lows of 2025. This is we're going to start off with releases, then we'll go into announcements of Hot Toys, then we'll go into the other companies from there. So yeah, I think a lot of these are kind of self-explanatory. The reception on all these figures that I have here was not great. So Monkey D. Luffy, there on the far left from One Piece. You got the Anakin Clone Wars. That one I was a little hesitant to put in because I know a lot of people, and I agree, like the likeness was there. It's just a facial expression a lot of people were not fond of, right? And so I think that's what I was kind of that's what I kind of noticed basically. Just it wasn't received well because of the expression. I know it was scene specific and that based on the Ahsoka show, but I think there's a lot of people who didn't. It didn't really sit well with a lot of collectors there. And last I looked, it was still available for pre-order on Sideshow, which is not really any like official metric in itself, but still like usually Anakin sells pretty well. They have multiple versions of him, right? But this one, I guess a lot of people, unless you're really into that scene or that show, the Ahsoka show, I think a lot of people pass on that one. So that was Anakin. The Batman blue and gray there on the far right. I'm sure you guys all know the story. The meme with the girl in the back, funny facial expressions, right, for this Batman. I know it does have, there are some people who like it, and big kudos to them for sticking with it, regardless of what everyone's saying. But I just know overall the consensus was not a lot of people picked that one up, so I kind of saw that as a low. Let's see. Oh, I skipped over the fractal armor there in the middle. There's the announcement and the release of a newly designed Iron Man. I mean, yeah, like the base is the Mark IV, but this was a new kind of look to Iron Man. In the past we've had neon techs, golds and chromes and stealths, but this was the first time we saw a fractal version of this, where it was just all kind of like what's the word? Like kind of like a prism type of look, where it's just a bunch of like jagged triangular edges and things like that. And I went over this when I covered this discussion or the announcement or discussion of this figure, the announcement I should say, and I went over what that was based off of, and I had the reference photos and that's for that. So if you're interested, check that out to Hot Talk, and if I remember, I'll put the link in the description below so you can go back and check that out in case you missed it. But yeah, that was an interesting one. I still appreciate the fact that they switched up and they went something different with it, but it didn't sell well. It was limited, exclusive, but last I looked, it's still available on Sideshow, along with the Sub-Zero fractal armor, right? They also had a Sub-Zero fractal, the all-white one, the snow one. That one, last I looked, was still available too, I think. So yeah, didn't sell too well. The Maul concept right there, the Darth Maul concept, also a Hot Toys exclusive, limited, and that is also still available. So yeah, it didn't sell too well either. I know I was kind of roasting it too. I was saying that the head sculpt kind of looks like what's his name? The Howie Mandel's monster from Little Monsters, the movie with Fred Savage, with that scene at the end where like his horn was all hanging off, and yeah, it looked well. Again, we discussed all these figures in previous Hot Talks, but yeah, it's just it was funny. It wasn't well received on that one either. So, but again, kudos, props to those who are just like, regardless, I think it's badass. I picked it up, and if you are and you enjoyed it, much I should say more power to you, I should say, because there are definitely figures that where I picked up that a lot of people were just roasting, and so I mean it's coming to my collection, so it's a figure I enjoy, so I definitely get it. All right, going from the lows, of course, with the lows you gotta have the highs, and I basically just took the thumbnail, did some rearranging because those were the highlights. 2025 was, I think, a great year. I think Hot Toys had a lot of bangers, and I'm surprised people were saying that it wasn't a good year, because I mean, just look, these are just some of the figures here on screen that I have. I mean, all of these, a lot of people were saying, there's like some minor nitpicks here and there, but for the most part, the consensus on all these figures is that they were great. And a lot of these figures here were like contenders for figure of the year for some people. And I don't even have, like I said, I don't even have them all here. There's just so many. So I'm like really surprised to hear people say like it was an okay year or wasn't that great. Or, I mean, I thought a lot of these were bangers, man. These are a lot of great figures. And also the fact, I kind of just point out the lows. Let me go back to the lows. Again, this is only 5. I know some of you may not agree with all these, or you may add more to this, but just consider like the volume. Again, like I'm just counting the unique figures. Hot Toys put out 103. So let's just say if they put out these 5, 6 for the lows, and the other ones are good to great, I mean, that's a pretty good win ratio right there, if you ask me. So I know Hot Toys has their ups and downs, but I mean, for the most part, I don't know. What I can see here is just they've had a great year. I mean, the production, the volume that they put out. Again, yeah, there's like they're not perfect, but a lot more wins than losses. And in any sport, that would be a good thing, right? You're a higher win ratio. So I think they did a great job, man. A lot of great figures here. a good amount that I have. The Iron Man Mark 42, we touched on this before. That was the first figure to come out that had full USB. The first Iron Man, I should say, full USB, even though it wasn't announced that way. And we'll touch on which one was announced later. The BVS Batman 2.0, a lot of them. Accessories, some of the features, they just this battle damage Darth Vader, which sick badass figure, man. I'm glad to have gotten that one. I have that one. I was hoping to kind of put that up in display behind me and show that off, but I just didn't have time. Like I said, the Dewback, I know the Dewback got a lot of praise from a lot of collectors. The Sergeant Trooper one Dewback. Let's see here. Of course, the T800s clean and battle damage 2.0s sold out everywhere. That was crazy. I think that's the first time since I've been collecting that was like a general release figure, not exclusive, not limited, where it was like sold out everywhere before its release. It was just crazy. I was not anticipating that. I mean, I know Terminator's popular, but there's a lot of movies here, a lot of figures here from popular movies, and they didn't push those numbers. Again, granted, I don't know how many Hot Toys they actually made for T800, but yeah, man, it's crazy. Like, I had trouble myself after I decided to pull the trigger on the clean version, the T800. I had trouble getting one, and I just happened to be at the right place, the right web page at the right time to see one come available, and I was able to pre-order it. I jumped on it with a quickness. But it's like, most of the major retailers, the popular, reputable ones, all sold out. So if you're still looking for one, I wish you the best of luck, because it's just crazy. It's crazy. Wednesday, of course, out of nowhere, but another popular figure. Deadpool, Wolverine, I think those speak for itself. That Artisan Scarlet Witch, I think a lot of people ended up being happy with that. Black Widow, of course, another Artisan. A lot of people, the consensus, were happy with that one. That Doom, Dr. Doom, oh man, yeah. Classic comic Doom there. That was a lot of features, accessories, a Diron base with that one. Yeah, it's just Grievous, of course. A lot of collectors were anticipating, waiting for that one. General Grievous. I heard some minor issues so far, but I don't think it's widespread. But Hot Toys Grievous, a lot of people waiting for. Of course, that Darth Maul 2.0. Yeah, like I said, this is just on this page, right? I couldn't fit them all on here. There's just so many. But yeah, I don't know. If you ask me, I think this was 2025 was a win for Hot Toys. Yeah, just based on Deadpool and Wolverine alone, man, just like how many figures they came out, and a lot of people got those. So, yep. All right. Let's see. So, and again, compared to last year, I went through and I was curious to see what last year, about 2024, the releases to last year. I think the standouts for 2024 were She-Hulk. A lot of people praised that one. Mantis from the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. A lot of people really like that figure. The more Vaders, right? There's 2 Vaders released last year. The Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Return of the Jedi. I have both of those. Yep, I got multiple Vaders. Those got high praise. The Bane from the Dark Knight trilogy. Oh man, yeah. That Bane, that Bane 2.0 with the seamless arms. A lot of praise. The Heath Ledger Joker, Artisan. Supergirl, that one is also another one that's hard to find now. That's pricey on the aftermarket, but but it just seemed like compared to that, there were some bangers that year, but this year it seems like there's more. So, they're on the right track if you ask me. Okay, let me address the chat here before I go on. Let's see here. SBM saying Maurice. What am I missing here on the Maurice part? I think I'm missing something there. Went over my head. Sorry. Still waiting. Beam says still waiting for that battle damage Vader. Oh man, yeah. I'm curious to hear what you think about it when you get it in, because man, it's awesome figure. The one where it's just, I know a lot of collectors mentioned this already, including myself, but I'll reiterate just the fact that it's kind of in that space between a statue and a 1/6 scale action figure. You have that cape with his helmet silhouette in the back. You can even see it in this thumbnail. Just having that option, right? Because I know we've always did the compare and contrast between statues and the dynamic poses of statue versus the articulation and the variability with action figures, 1/6 scale action figures. So this looks like it's this Vader at least is a good medium, and I think this is the only one so far that has something like that statuesque. Where you can kind of go both options on that route. So love the option, man. Love the options. Movie Canon saying no issues with my Maul 2.0 or Grievous. Oh, nice. That's awesome to hear. And yeah, sorry, I only meant, sorry if this is confused, but I only meant I've heard people have minor issues with, or some issues with the Grievous, not with the Maul. I was just saying the Maul 2.0 was also another great figure that a lot of people praised as well. So, but yeah, thanks for sharing that, Sheila. It's good to hear that you didn't have any issues. Where's Nice Pool? Yeah, Hashtag where's nice pool by S Beam. Yeah, like I'm saying, man, I couldn't fit them all in here. I at least got Deadpool and Wolverine, right, the two main characters of that movie. But yeah, nice pool, kid pool, all the pools. Yeah, Hot Toys just brought them all, and there's still some coming out. We have that Weapon X, Age of Apocalypse, and we're gonna look at that later. But yeah, it's just they're yeah, they pumped them out, man. They pumped them out. Let's see. Oh, I see. Beam. Maurice is Howie Man down. Oh, gotcha. Thank you. That's right. You see, that's how long it's been. I completely forgot. Thank you, Maurice. Yeah, Maurice from Little Monsters. That's who I was referring to about when I mentioned that mall concept and what he reminded me of. But yeah, thanks, Beam. Magnus. All right, no worries, Magnus. Thanks for coming through, man. Hopefully the rest of your shift goes okay and not too stressful. All right, so let's see here. Speaking of Artisans, next up we're going to cover the Artisans released last year, and I don't think there's any particular order, so this is where I got the 8 from. I know I mentioned 8 Artisans released. Actually, no, I lied. I think I have them in order of their release time. So we got the Anakin, Episode 3, The Sith Apprentice. That's the one I was talking about in the upper left there. Let's see, then starting from the top left try, then we got the date. Wait, let me see here. No, I think I got them backwards. So yeah, I think I got them backwards. So Anakin Episode 3, then Darth Vader Sith Apprentice. I think I just forgot to rename that. Scarlet Witch, Dark Empire Luke, the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, the Black Widow, of course, Scarlett Johansson, God Loki, and Iron Spider was released toward December there towards the end. So yeah, those were the 8 Artisans. Let's see here. Then, yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward. I know, there's a lot of controversies behind some of these because there's that whole glue gate. I know some collectors mentioned that on some of their figures, but I don't know. I don't know if that. I never got the consensus on if that was actually widespread or if that was just some collectors, right? If you consider like Black Widow, for instance, there was like 6,000 total sold. If you see all these in the thousands, and there's only, let's just say, like, I don't know, 50. I don't know if, even then, I don't even know if I've heard from 50 people. Granted, that's like 50 vocal people, right? Assuming. I don't know if it was that widespread. Like now, whether like the quality and how the appearance actually looked, that's something that's obviously subjective. But as far as like issues with glue or anything like that, I don't. I don't think it was really that widespread. It seems like, especially like I said with Black Widow, I think I may have heard like a couple people mention there might be some remnants of glue there in the Black Widow figure. But like I said, overall, everyone was just praising, even calling it. It was up for Figure of the Year to some channels. So I think that just shows more of like the positives for these in general. So maybe, I don't know, but not to say those glue issues aren't going to come up in future releases, or they're going to be completely gone. Or maybe Hot Toys has corrected it. They go like, all right, you know what, we gotta switch it up for these newer Artisans coming up, and get that corrected. So we shall see. We shall see what 2026 brings. Okay, let's see here. What else we got? Going from, that was all the release news. Going to announcements. So announcement lows. This is, again, what I tracked based on the feedback from the collectors, the collecting community. And you may not agree, which is all good, of course, or you may add some more to this list. I may have missed some, but let's see here. So the lows, Eve Macaro, I think that one, I think we can all agree the head sculpt on that one was not well received. I know some people mentioned they can see, there's obviously it's gonna be subjective on how much you can see of like a certain actor, actress in a figure, but I think overall, even if some people said they can see Ana de Armas in this Eve Macaro figure, I think the consensus was it could use some work, right? It's not there. And so even for me, I was more of like, it's like 50% there when I discussed this figure, so pretty low reception overall. The Human Torch, which is now, I don't know, a lot of you guys know, that was just recently released earlier, like a couple, I think last night or today. But yeah, when this came out, when this was announced, the same thing, a lot of people did not like the head sculpting. Consensus was, that also needs work, and people were saying they can't see Chris Evans at all. We're saying it's somewhat there, but I think, again, consensus is it seems like it's just off. Although this was kind of a surprise in itself, right? That we even got this Human Torch. I don't know if people were kind of speculating that this would come out, because Hot Toys did tease that whole the Resistance from Deadpool and Wolverine, right? Which we still have yet to see all of. But from what I recall, I don't think this figure was teased on that at all. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't recall seeing. I remember Gambit, X-23, Elektra, and Blade, I think were the only 4 teased on there. And then we got 2 of those released and or announced so far of the Resistance. So we're still waiting on Blade and Elektra. But yeah, I don't recall seeing Human Torch on there. This Chris Evans Human Torch. Nightwing, this one was another one, surprise / not well received. Again, another. So this one was also weird because it says exclusively at Sideshow. Typically these exclusives, they'll say like Hot Toys exclusive. But this one specifically said exclusively at Sideshow, implying that obviously it's only, you can officially get it there. So that was kind of interesting to see. But yeah, this Nightwing seems like came out a little too late, based on, I think this was teased a while ago, and I forget how long ago it was teased, but or previewed or shown. But yeah, it was years ago. Now they finally put it up, still sitting there on Sideshow. I didn't have rolling eyes. A lot of people were just criticizing the fact that it's had old quote-unquote technology, like figure technology, right? Like I said, no rolling eyes, and it just, a lot of people lost interest in this one. So maybe it might go on sale later on and people might pick it up at a discount. But it does look nice though. Aside from that, the suit, I like the metallic kind of sheen, iridescent look to the blue parts of his armor. Let's see, and then Peacemaker, another one. Some controversy behind that one, in that it seemed that you have a lot of reuse from this. This is from season 2, so it seemed to have a lot of reuse from the first Peacemaker that came out from season 1. And I did a comparison. I looked at some of the things, and it does look like they are, even some of the photos, if I recall correctly, they used for this one seem to be reused for like Eagly for the accessories. And so I think the only difference I had pointed out was some of the accessories were different on this one. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how Hot Toys approaches that one, if they even change anything, and or if they do, what they change. So yeah, that's kind of interesting on this one. That was interesting. But yeah, I think these were, again, I may have missed some others that you guys probably thought were kind of lows for Hot Toys. But all right. And so for the highs, I didn't go over the highs specifically, but we are going to go through some other slides that I'll touch on as that can be considered highs. Next, specifically, I'm going to go through a lot of surprise announcements that we got from Hot Toys on the different brands. And there was some that was like, oh, damn, a lot of us were just kind of taken aback and surprised, good or bad, right? So first up, we are going to go over the DC, the unique announcements. And then we'll go into surprises. I forgot to reorder some of these. So unique announcements of the year for last year. These are ones that I thought that were unique because, again, they're not kind of, this is the first time we've seen these figures. They weren't, 2.0s or a different iteration of a figure that we've, that Hot Toys has released before in the past. And so we have, of course, Wednesday here on the far left from the show Wednesday, Seong Gi-han from Squid Game Season 2, which is interesting in itself, right? Because they just skipped Season 1 and they went straight to Season 2. That was obviously just recently released as well, in case you missed it. Hot Toys released that, I think it was last week. What are we at? So this is January 19th, so yeah, sometime last week. And then these 2 Death Stranding 2 figures from the game Death Stranding 2, on the beach. So we got Sam and then Higgs. These 2 characters. So Sam played by Norman Reedus, and then Higgs was played by Troy Baker, I believe it was, in the game, right? So these are video game based figures, and I guess that kind of goes also doubly as like figures not really well received. I know some people who love the game and who are big on video games are just like these characters in general. But it seems like for the most part, a lot of people kind of just shrug those 2 off. But yeah, another reason why I wanted to put this slide together is because I know a lot of collectors say, as we'll see later on, and I mentioned already a little bit, I touched on, was multiple Batmans, multiple Iron Mans, another Spider-Man and another Joker, right? It's just, we have all these in people saying they want to see more different figures. And I think, here, this is a good example of them doing some different figures. So they are, no, it's not as many, and I know it's not some of the figures that some of the collectors are campaigning for, but they are giving us some different IPs here and different characters, like I mentioned, right? So it's just kind of switching it up, varying it up. The Wednesday did really well, so that one sold well. I'm not sure yet on the Gi-han because that one was just released, so we'll see. I think it looks great based on the blogger photos, but yeah, we'll see how well it sells. And then the Death Stranding 2, I already touched on, not too popular, it seems like, so far. But yeah, so I'm curious to see now what 2026 brings, what new, interesting, unique IPs or characters that Hot Toys is going to bring us this year. But they are doing them, right? Again, I know it's not going to be to the figures that a lot of people want or a lot of people agree with, but they are putting some variety out there, which I always appreciate. So, yeah, unique announcements. Okay, let's see. Now we're going to get into the surprise announcements. So, starting with DC here, I think Mr. Freeze speaks for itself from Batman and Robin. I think it's Batman or Batman Forever. One of those, I can't remember now, but either way, Mr. Freeze, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, this was a surprise even for me. I was like, oh shit. Yeah, I was not expecting this because other than the Joker and the Dark Knight trilogy villains, I don't think Hot Toys has done any other villains from the Batman movies. I'm just kind of go off my head now. Yeah, so this was a surprise that they did this, right? Because I'm kind of go off memory. I don't remember seeing like ever a Riddler from Hot Toys or a Two-Face or an Ivy or who else am I missing? I think that was it, right? From the Batman, Robin, Batman Forever movies. So yeah, I mean, not only did they do it, he just looks badass, man. Like, so this is another kind of unique figure, but I mean, it just like in design, LED light ups. Yeah, it's just, this figure just looks awesome. I'm looking forward to getting that one. Badass figure. So, and then the Absolute Batman came towards the end of the year. I didn't see that coming. I don't think Hot Toys teased at it. Like, I guess another iteration of Batman, like I mentioned earlier. But maybe I guess some people could argue they came out with Dark Knight Returns, and so they could be going further down the line. But up to before Absolute Batman was announced, right, we only saw one-offs of like certain Batman DC characters from comics. And I'm not too familiar with the Absolute comic myself. I'm not gonna lie. So it seems to be the case for most collectors also. But those who are familiar with it were happy, excited to see this. I just was based on just how he looks, how badass he looks. I was impressed and surprised by myself. So yeah, congrats to all you Absolute fans. You're getting these. We'll see if they make more from that line. Next up is the Hellbat. This was both interesting and surprising in the fact that this is a variant of the XE suit from Arkham Origins, I believe it is. So general release Batman XE suit from Arkham Origins. Let me got that down. Oh, I didn't put it on here. But yeah, either way, it's based on the XE suit. And so that one didn't really sell too well. That one seemed to be sitting for a while. I know some people who had it and said that it's an awesome figure. And I passed on that one, but yeah, this came out and I was like, oh dang, I was sold on the color scheme, the design on this one. Added little spikes to the shoulders, and it sold me. Right? Oh man, the spikes. No, overall, it just looked cool. And I passed on the XE suit, and I was really tempted to get that one in the first place. So when I saw this, I was like, okay, I'm sold. Ended up getting this one, but I know a lot of people passed on this one. Last I checked, it was another one that exclusive, limited, but is still on Sideshow, so still available. But yeah, another one a lot of people were roasting on, but I personally got. So yeah, I definitely hear you guys on that one. And then surprise announcement, Bank Robber Joker. So I guess this is another one that maybe is questionable. They probably could do without being on here. Some of you may have different opinions on that, but because we did get the purple suit Joker, Heath Ledger Joker from Hot Toys Artisan. But yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I personally didn't see this one coming. I mean, I guess you could say the chances of it coming were high, but I thought they would have just left it at the Heath Ledger Joker. I think that's because that was around the time where Inart either released or put theirs up as well. And so, this Bank Robber Joker wasn't a question yet. Not to mention the fact that it comes with 2 head sculpts. And I don't know if I'll touch on this later, but in case I don't, I'll touch on it now. Two head sculpts, both of them Artisan, which is I think another first. I don't think Hot Toys has put out an Artisan figure with 2 head sculpts. And I went back and I tried to look, quick search mind you, so it wasn't thorough, but let me know in the chat or in the comments if I missed anything. But yeah, I don't think there's been any other Artisans that had 2 head sculpts. I know there is Beetlejuice, right? That from Beetlejuice that had 2 head sculpts with implanted wool hair, but that's not labeled Artisan. So yeah, I know to this day, we're in 2026, folks. This is what, like, going on the 3rd year for Artisan, and we still don't have a clear picture of what Artisan is. Where we still haven't had that line cleared, right, or distinguished. It's still blurry, like what's Artisan, what's not, because we've seen multiple figures that were released and are announced that aren't labeled Artisan, but they have quote unquote implanted wool hair. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. it's still to this day, till this day, I don't understand what's going on there. But either way, like I said, it's still 2 head sculpts, which was awesome. Bank Robber Joker for that one, 2.0. Okay. Let's see here. Let me address chat here real quick. Mr. Beam, Mr. Superior Beam saying, yeah, Mr. Freeze is going to be awesome. Yeah, man, I think you were also on that same boat as well, or that same ice train with Mr. Freeze. I think you were excited for him. Yeah. A lot of people were, myself, I'm not a big fan of those movies. I did see them, but not ones I go back to. But this is another example of a movie where, or a figure where like the movie wasn't great. Some may say it's really bad, but the figure itself is just awesome. So I know we've had a couple like that before. So yeah, man, I'm with you. We got Figure It Out in the house. Figure It Out reviews. Thank you for coming through. Appreciate it. Hello, everybody says. If you haven't already, check out Figure It Out reviews YouTube channel. Really informative. Also kind of similar take as myself on how I approach my streams. I've seen some of his reviews. He does a good job of not only unboxing and reviewing, but also providing some info background on the character or figure he's reviewing. Sometimes he does like retro reviews too of older figures. So yeah, good stuff. Figure It Out. Yeah, I appreciate, because I know that also takes time. So I'm there with you. So yeah, if you're interested, go check out his stuff and his content, his channel, and see what he has to offer. But yeah, thanks for coming. Figure It Out. I appreciate it. Let's see here. Figure It Out saying, I just picked up the Kento purple coat outfit for when I get this bank robber so I can use the extra sculpt. Yeah, that was similar thought process, man. I was right there with you. So I got the purple coat Heath Ledger Joker, the sculpted version, right? Because at the time I was like, okay, you know what? The Artisan looks great, but I'm not going to spend the extra. In that instance, the sculpted still looks great, which that's another point of contention here throughout the years, the whole sculpted versus Artisan debate for this last year. But with this one, I saw it came with 2 head sculpts. I'm like, okay, well, I'm sold. 2 head sculpts. It already looks great. And I can put the other one of them on my purple suit Joker. Swap out the sculpted hair for that one. And so, yeah, same thought process, man. So it looks like we were on the same page there. Yeah, yes, Beam. Hot Toys is weird about Fartisan. Yeah, Fartisan. That's the catchphrase that the Beam Brothers blue tattoo and S-Beam have for Artisan, just because, like others have pointed out, it's had some issues, and I know there's that whole ongoing debate about it should have quality materials, again, which is weird because there's non-Artisan figures that have that leather or certain type of accessories, call it accessories, but they're not included in Artisan. So yeah, I know it's weird, but again, we just got to keep critiquing them, give them our feedback, and hopefully Hot Toys, right? Hot Toys addresses that. So yeah, I hear you, man. Yeah, no worries. Figure It Out. Yeah, appreciate you again for coming through. Okay, let's see here. Let me go on to. I'll let you guys take a look here while I get some water. I'm getting a little parched here with all this yapping I'm doing. But going on to the next surprise announcements here. I'll let you soak that in here. Give me a second. All right. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I had to keep it going. Okay. So surprise Marvel announcements. Again, this is kind of both a little of what I thought was surprising and like the kind of the reception that I kind of observed from the community here. Let's see. So yeah, I didn't put all the names here, so I'll just read them from going top left to bottom right. So you got the Artisan Winter Soldier, the Bucky Barnes from Captain America: The Winter Soldier, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was that. So that was surprising because it had been years, I think, since we've seen Hot Toys do another proper Winter Soldier figure, right? They had released one a while ago, and I forget how long ago it was, but yeah, we got a quote-unquote 2.0 in an Artisan fashion. They didn't come out with the sculpted version, but yeah, they came out with this Artisan one I thought looked great. I didn't have one and a Winter Soldier in my collection, so yeah, that was a pickup for me. Weapon X from Age of Apocalypse, or the Deadpool and Wolverine Weapon X of Age of Apocalypse, right? So that's what here on the top, second from the left, right? So that's from Deadpool, Wolverine, the Age of Apocalypse Weapon X version / Wolverine version. And so, yeah, that was surprising because not a lot of collectors or people in general, I should say, know about this version of Wolverine / Weapon X. Is based obviously on the Age of Apocalypse version. When I saw this on the film, I was stoked. I was like, oh shit, yeah, because again, not a lot of people know about this one, that version of Logan. But yeah, I was a fan of that whole comic arc. I have a lot of figures. I think all of them that were released on Marvel Legends. Because yeah, it just was. I was a fan of that. But yeah, so surprising that Hot Toys went this route as opposed to like other ones that may be more popular. I know a lot of people were saying, where's Patch? That he also made an appearance, or like the Short King Wolverine. I don't know how they would do that one. Hot Toys would have to make a new body for that one. But yeah, the Cavalry, I know some people were mentioning. So yeah, it's interesting how this one went up. Well, I guess you think about it, it kind of makes sense, right? You just like his hair's all crazy, so you don't really have to style it too much. So I guess on that, taking that into consideration, I guess that kind of makes sense. Superior Iron Man, let alone it being a comic and his appearance, this was a surprise also because this was the first Hot Toys Iron Man figure announced with full USB. So this was actually put in the description, and we were all surprised, myself included, like, oh, finally, after years and years, collectors tired of those button cell batteries. Collectors are saying, can you please just make the Iron Man full USB? Just figure out a way, get it done. And so, here they are. First announcement for Superior Iron Man, full USB, just one plug into, I think it was his upper back. I forget where the plug's at, but yeah, powers his whole body with all the lights throughout his the whole armor. And like I mentioned earlier, that was the first announcement. The first actually release was the Iron Man Mark 42, the 2.0, that was released last year. So again, I mentioned that was a little surprising in itself because in the description of that one, it mentioned button powered, the LEDs powered, battery powered, right? And it didn't say anything about USB except for the base, I think it was. But I guess along the way, Hot Toys decided they were still at a good transition point in production. We're like, okay, you know what? Go ahead and switch it over to full USB, and that's what they did upon release. To our surprise, to collector surprise, it was full USB on that one as well. In the back, in the upper back, I think is where it plugs into on the Mark 42 2.0 there. So yeah, first release was that one, but first announced was the Superior Iron Man, which looks good, by the way. All silver, all chrome. You got that comic head sculpt, Tony Stark head sculpt there, which looks awesome. With, of course, swapping out with the full Iron Man helmet. Yeah, so it looks good. I was tempted by that one, but decided to pass. So it does look great, though. It does look great. Galactus. No, a lot of collectors surprised by this one. This is the first collectible, I should say, because it's not an action figure. Although it has 5 points of articulation. This is the first collectible in Hot Toys' new line, the Soft Vi line. So soft vinyl, I presume, is what it stands for. Because that's what it is. It's a vinyl figure with 5 points of articulation. I think the head, the arms on the shoulders, and then the torso, I think it is. There may be some other points of articulation I'm missing, but I think it was 5 total. But yeah, based on the Fantastic Four First Steps movie, I think that's what the subtitle is, First Steps. And so yeah, this thing was huge. I think it was 28 inches or something like that. It was over 2 feet, but under 3 feet. And I forget exactly how tall it was, but yeah, it took a lot of us by surprise that they came out with this. And this thing's huge, right? So a lot of people were like, "Oh, damn!" And it comes with little Fantastic Four figures that you can put kind of around him. That you can kind of stationary static figures, but you can kind of put them around him like they're kind of attacking him. So yeah, I thought that was really cool, really interesting on that one choice. So we'll see what other figures we get from the Soft Vi line to add to, what is it? Hot Toys has Hono, right? There's, from as far as I know, they're still going with their Hono line. What else? What other sublines do they have? Of course, there's Artisan. I mentioned Artisan. I think that's it for now, as you count sublines. Let me know if I'm forgetting something, but yeah. So Spider-Man, we got all the Spider-Man here on the bottom. The 1977 on the bottom left, the 1978 there in the middle. Let's see, do I got that right? I think that's right. And then on the bottom right, controversial in itself, but still surprising, the battle damage Spider-Man, the battle damage Tobey Maguire from the first Spider-Man film. Yeah, I thought that looks good. That looks, again, I won't go into it because I know I went over this on when I had this the previous Hot Talk episode where we had this announcement and we discussed it. But aside, all the issues aside, I think it still looks great. I know it's not accurate, a lot of issues there, but I think despite all that, I think it still looks good. The 77, the Spider-Man 77 and 78 were a little surprising, but it's Spider-Man. I think I mentioned this too. I was like, yeah, it's kind of surprising, not surprising at the fact that they did these versions, but again, it's Spider-Man, right? How many Spider-Man from Hot Toys have we gotten so far, right? So it made sense. That one had its own controversy because in the 78 was advertised by Hot Toys and Sideshow like it was going to be sold here in the States. But if you guys remember, this was one of the figures that I mentioned was not sold in the US after all. For whatever reason, I don't, they even had posts on the Hot Toys, I think the social media. On social media, Hot Toys made posts in English, and then Sideshow did as well. But then on Sideshow's RSVP page, it says something to the effect of, you can RSVP, this won't be sold in the US though. So just, stay tuned for more news, or outside of like US markets or something like that. So I can't remember what it to the effect, but basically, yeah, not sold in the US. So that was kind of an interesting take. I'm not sure what was going on there. I don't know if it was planned to initially, and then something happened either with licensing or production. I don't know. So that ended up not being sold in the US. And then the 77, another surprising figure, but also somewhat controversial itself in that it was a limited, of course. That's not surprising, right? Limited, but it was limited to 600 units. So yeah, 600. I don't know where Hot Toys came up with that number, let alone any quantity they come up for their artisans. I'm sure there's some speculation like, okay, we think this is going to sell this many and account for this much. And so, there's varying degrees. I get some characters are more popular than others, but I have yet to see, I don't think any of us have seen an exclusive limited that low in a number, right? So edition size 600. Yeah, that was an interesting one there. So just both those two announcements, there was just a lot of funny business going on between those two, the 77 and 78 Spider-Man. Yeah, Spider-Man. So yeah, I'm not sure. And then the battle damage, Toby, again, the only thing I will add on that is I know there was a lot of there was a lot of campaigning for the black suit Toby that came out last year, 2025, the black suit Toby from Spider-Man 3. And there was a big push, kind of similar thing. And I think if collectors wanted some changes done, I think that would have been the year to do it if everybody were to jump on board and, like we usually say, vote with your wallets. But it ended up still selling well, surprisingly. So, and I touched on what we touched on before. Regardless if collectors are still buying certain figures despite its some of the issues, then Hot Toys will keep making it. So, and it's just numbers, right? If you kind of look at it at numbers, right? If they're making thousands of these, but there's say like about 100 or so collectors that are not pleased with a certain figure or the outcome, or if they have issues with a certain figure, I don't think that's going to move the needle. You need massive impact for that to happen. So I just wanted to add that, kind of something to consider, give some insight on that. Of course, always speak up, and as I always say, vote with your wallet and give your critiques to criticism, or else Hot Toys won't know. And then it may get resolved. The issue may get resolved, or it may not. But they just won't know in general unless you let them know. So just worth mentioning and considering that one. But all right, so that was a surprise Marvel announcement. So going on to, let's see here, where we at? Oh, another major IP here. The Hot Toys, the big three, right, with Disney. So you have your Marvel. Wait, what was the big? Oh no, sorry, not Disney. Just your big three that Hot Toys has: your DC, Marvel, and of course Star Wars. So your Star Wars announcements here, surprise announcements. Galen Erso, that's the other one here, top left. That's another one I mentioned. That was one of the three that weren't sold here in the U.S. because it was a Star Wars Celebration exclusive to Japan, because that's where Star Wars Celebration was last year, 2025. A lot of people upset that they couldn't get that here because this was the first time, if I recall correctly, that Hot Toys came out with the Galen Erso. But it does look good. So congrats to all those who were able to get that figure in other means. Apparently it didn't sell too well, even after it came out in Japan or in Asia. That they're sitting for a little bit. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess not a popular character, not a popular figure over there. But a lot of people, need to say, a lot of people here in the States though, or elsewhere outside of Japan and China, were upset that they weren't able to get this officially, right? So we'll see. My thought was, I was speculating maybe they'll come out with another one, because there's very few figures where Hot Toys came out with a version of a character and they didn't re-release it down the road. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that, but so we may see him maybe labeled from a different movie or in a different suit or different, a different look. Maybe, I don't know. That's not out of the question. So I think that's still maybe the case later on. We've seen that before. The Hot Toys do that with other characters as well. Darth Nihilus here in the top middle. Oh man, I was stoked for this one. This one they labeled Star Wars Legends, but this is a character from Knights of the Old Republic game from a while ago, and I forget which one. I can't remember if it was 1 or 2. I'd never played any of those, but just based on like his lore and his look, I was sold, man. He just looks badass. He kind of has that like kind of is it kabuki look with the mask. I think I mentioned this on the stream where I discussed this, that he kind of reminds me of like a Naruto character with the Anbu clan or the Anbu ninja where they have the mask on. Yeah, so either way, it looks cool. It looks like a badass figure, one that I'm picking up. Another top right there, another surprise announcement was this Darth Vader. Okay, yep, I know we got a lot of Darth Vaders, but this one specifically was from the Hono line. This was based on his look in Rebels, so Star Wars Rebels, the show, the animated show. And then, yeah, there were stormtroopers that were also announced, so this kind of ties in with that, but I just wanted to be able to fit them on the screen here. But yeah, Darth Vader from Hono, Darth Vader from Rebels. A lot of people were surprised to see, because these were the first Star Wars figures from Hono that we have seen. Prior to that, we've got like Spider-Man and X-Men. I think were the main two. And like the Avengers. I know classic Iron Man. We're still waiting on the Thor. I know hashtag where's Thor. But yeah, so a new IP for Hono. So that was surprising to see that they are doing Star Wars, not only Star Wars but Rebels. Bottom left, we got let's see, Andor from Rogue One. So again, another one of those where I mentioned before on previous streams. Never say never, because Hot Toys could come out with a figure much later down the line. This is another good example of that, right? So Rogue One came out a while ago. We did get a Jyn Erso, and I believe I think a version of K2SO was released a while ago. But yeah, years later we get Andor, not from the Andor show, right? So I know maybe again there's some licensing issues there. I'm not sure what's going on. But yeah, this one Andor was labeled Rogue One, but we finally got an Andor. So a lot of people were surprised and happy to see that. Another one here, people, I think another one we're hoping to see. This one's kind of mixed. Jar Jar Binks, good or bad. It's an alien, a creature from Star Wars, another creature, Star Wars alien. We don't really get a lot of those. So I think just that fact alone, a lot of people agreed that it's awesome that we're getting Jar Jar. And just what that actor went through, it's a lot of kind of a lot of levels there to this figure, right? So that a lot of people connect with in one shape or form. So yeah, I'm personally passing on it. I wasn't really, I didn't really like Jar Jar from those movies, so I passed on it. But I will say it does look great based on this, and yeah, happy for all those who were hoping that Hot Toys would give us a Jar Jar figure. And then bottom right, oh man, yeah, this one I was really surprised with. I just like, I always say that scene from Wayne's World where Wayne sees Cassandra, that whole Dreamweaver song plays. Oh, dream, yeah. Not only is like just a beautiful sculpt for Leia, Bouche Disguise from Return of the Jedi, but that version of Leia is one that I really loved. I had on my other channel, Feezy's Media, I did that one movie version of the Star Wars OT trilogy, and I'm just gushing about Return of the Jedi, that being my Star Wars movie, but bias aside, this figure looks great. Just that suit, that whole outfit alone is just awesome. You can swap out the head sculpt and just give her just a helmet. I think I still would have bought it because I like that unique look for her bounty hunter, right? She was kind of going in undercover as a bounty hunter, and that look alone kind of reminds me of a Mandalorian, or just like a random bounty hunter. That's obviously what she was going for, and that looks great. So it's just a double strike there for me. I'm like, okay, I'm sold. That's all I needed. Yeah, this is the first time we're seeing this version of Leia. Yeah, beautiful figure, man. Yeah, I can't gush enough about that, man. I already have, but yeah, definitely looking forward to that one. So that was a surprise to me. So getting that version of Leia. Let me address the chat here while I also take a drink. Give me 1 second. All right, S-Beam saying here, yeah, Harry Lou Retton for for Short King in Deadpool Wolverine. I think he was referring to when I was touching on, collectors thinking that we were going to get another version of Wolverine from Hot Toys before we got the Age of Apocalypse Weapon X. So yeah, Harry Lou. S-Beam adding Galen looks good. Glad I have him. Now we need a Jyn 2.0. Yeah, man, I know you were the one of the lucky few who were able to get one, so congrats on that. I've only heard you say good things about that one, so yeah, I'm glad to hear that you like them. And then yeah, people were mentioning a Gen 2.0 to follow along with Andor. And yeah, it's been a while since Hot Toys has done that one, so that could be that could be in the books for Hot Toys coming up. We shall see. Yeah, as Beam also agrees, definitely bringing Jar Jar home. Yes, sir. Yeah, will look great next to Qui-Gon. And a great, yeah, as Beam agrees, great Leia sculpt finally. Yeah, man. So I hope, ideally, either the final comes out looking like this Leia here, the sculpt here, because I know some people had some nitpicks, but I think it looks great personally. So yeah, hopefully it stays that way. But I know the trend is usually Hot Toys, the final doesn't come out as good. Sometimes, like if rarely it does, but yeah, that looks great, man. That looks great. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and switch before I to prevent myself from gushing more. Okay, so the big three we went over. So now this is just like the miscellaneous category, right? So TV, film, video games, things like that. So we went over DC, Marvel, and Star Wars surprise announcements. So now these are just the miscellaneous is what I call them, kind of everything else category basically. I already talked about this during the highs. I touched on this during the Hot Toys high announcements or under releases. This T800, this is the battle damage version. The clean version was announced, but I didn't include that in here because that was released. I know some people are now just getting this battle damage version too. I think recently they started getting this, I believe, or maybe I got those backwards. But yeah, so either way, it was announced last year. Awesome. Yeah, again, there's another one where at Hot Toys, it's been a while since we seen this figure. They made this a while ago, and now we're getting 2.0s, and looking great overall. I personally passed on the battle damage because I got the third-party one. I was like, okay, I'm good with that one. But I ended up getting the clean version, like I mentioned. But yeah, so this one, a good example of what I was mentioning earlier about not Artisan, obviously, because that's sculpted hair, but it has leather, right? That was one of the selling points: leather jacket, leather pants. And I'm not sure, I can't remember if the boots were. And that was both for the clean and battle damage version. So a lot of people were really happy to see that Hot Toys improved that. Not to mention the options that you get, the display options for either one. Yeah, I think it looks great overall. So I'm looking forward to getting my clean version when that comes in. So yeah, again, awesome surprise announcement there. A lot of people were hoping we would get that. And to go along with that, of course, the endoskeleton had been a little bit since we got one from Terminator 2. We had got multiple endoskeletons, and I covered that in the discussion of this, the announcement discussion of this figure, the endoskeleton from T2. The first one, I believe, to have die cast. I think all the previous ones were all plastic. So this here is the first for Hot Toys to come out with a die cast endoskeleton. I don't think it's specified where on the figure is going to have die cast. I would presume at least the legs, somewhere in the joints in the legs and or in the arms. But yeah, to have die cast. Let me know if I'm wrong though, if the previous endoskeletons had die cast, but I could be misremembering, but I think this was the first one to have it. So yeah, let me know if that's not the case. Let's see, third from the left, the top row, Robo-Kane. Another one, based on RoboCop 2, right? The villain from RoboCop 2, which we also got, but I didn't really consider that a surprise because we've gotten other RoboCops before. But yeah, Robo-Kane, though, that was, I think, the first time in a while since Ed 209 that we got a villain from RoboCop. And so, yeah, funny design, though, because, small, tiny legs. So it's kind of weird, really top heavy, it seems like, hasn't released yet, but really cool to see, massive figure. So I'm curious to see how this ends up coming out. But it's really cool that they actually brought that and they did that, though. So it looks like it could be a cool figure. Hopefully it's executed well. So we'll see how that comes out. The big chap here on the top right, I can't remember the last time Hot Toys did a big chap. I know that was years ago also, right? At least like 10, if I'm not mistaken. I know they've done a lot of like designs on the later aliens, like Alien 2 type designs. Like those, like the warrior alien, like aliens, right? Or like the Scourge Xenomorph, for example. It's kind of reminiscent of like the Xenomorphs from Aliens. So I didn't include that in here. But the big chap, I don't think we've seen too many of. I know a lot of people that was, they really like that alien design of guy in suit and rubber suit, which was how it was depicted in the first film. So that's in that sense, it's accurate. But yeah, I think a lot of people were surprised by that one. Bottom left, I know a lot of collectors were anticipating, hoping Hot Toys would cover this IP. So the first James Bond, licensed James Bond figure. This is played by, of course, Daniel Craig. In this version, they're doing the Daniel Craig version. And this is the Tux outfit. Not only did they give us a James Bond, a Daniel Craig, but Hot Toys gave us gave collectors two versions, right? So you have the Tux version and then the Commando outfit version, like one after the other, which was, not too surprising itself, because you know how Hot Toys does. You know how they do come out with one version, then not too long after they'll come out with another one, either that or right after release. So, but I'm sure fans were happy, right? You get like two options. Some people were stoked on getting both. Others were like, I'll just get one or the other. But either way, you get James Bond. So, of course, speculation on where Hot Toys will go from here, what other versions or iterations of Bond they'll do. Connery or Roger Moore. I don't know who's Pierce Brosnan. We shall see where they go. But at least this is a start. Wednesday, I mentioned another surprise one because, again, it's a one-off. This is, the first and only version that Hot Toys has done. I don't think anyone saw this coming. I didn't. Based on the next Netflix show Wednesday, with the resemblance to Jenna Ortega, right? This is the actress that plays Wednesday's Jenna Ortega. So yeah, again, just heard nothing but good things about this figure. I know this was technically released also, but I thought this was still a surprising announcement from last year that Hot Toys came out with. I touched on this earlier. Seong Gi-han from Squid Game 2, again, because it's at a left field, I think. I don't think a lot of people were anticipating this one either from Squid Game Season 2, because we didn't get a Squid Game Season 1 version. And so, not only that, but seamless, I don't think I touched on this earlier, or maybe I did, maybe in case I don't touch on it again. But yeah, he has seamless ankles, which a lot of collectors pointed out, which I don't think we've seen before. Also, that's another surprising point in itself. And like I said, this was recently released, so I'm curious to see the reviews on this one, how this one came out. But it looks great so far, based on what I'm seeing from the blogger photos. But yeah, seamless ankles. So Hot Toys have done seamless arms, seamless torsos, but yeah, seamless ankles I think might be a first. Again, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that was really cool, surprising to see there. Not to mention the character itself was just surprising to see, a unique IP that Hot Toys was tackling. And in the bottom right, of course, we have the Feral Predator, not the clean version, right? This is a battle damage version. So surprising, because that point, I don't think we've gotten a battle damage version of a Predator. If we did, again, it was one of those ones that we got a while ago. And so this was surprising on two fronts, because we got another version of the Feral Predator, but also it's battle damage. He had his chopped off arm. You can see here he has one of his mandible jaws broken off there. He had green blood on the display base. The display base was awesome. Yeah, so really, really cool all around it. I know that's another one a lot of people praise, that Feral Predator, which is interesting, right? Because he doesn't have seamless arms. He had single jointed elbows, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's weird, because I know collectors kind of, they'll kind of roast one figure for having that in one sense, but I didn't hear any really. I mean, I know there's initial backlash, but see, this figure was still got a lot of praise, so it's kind of interesting. I don't know, it kind of shows that we tend to have some biases. I know I'm guilty of it too, but it's just kind of interesting how it's just some figures with the same type of features or whatever will have get a lot of shit, but the other ones won't. So I don't know, maybe there's something more to that I'm overlooking, that I'm missing. But so I all that to say, I was just surprised that this one got as much praise as it did. Maybe because it's just a Predator, I don't know. And there is, we'll cover Deck and Thea. Speaking of jointed and seamless, we'll cover over that later on that. But yeah, so I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are on that one. What do you think the reasoning is on, the jointed elbows on some figures? I mean, I guess you can apply that to anything, right? Some people, criticize certain aspects of a figure on one, but not the other, and it's more accepting. I don't know. It's just, collectors, we all have our preferences. We all have our, our little nitpicks. So I mean, like I said, I'm guilty of some of those too. I'm just stating the observation there. So I know we all have our nuances to that. All right. So let's see here. Going on, let's see, what else do we have? What's next? Oh, okay. Yeah. So those were all the surprise announcements. Let me address the chat here before we go on to the Artisans announced for last year. Let's see. So Figure Out saying, I ordered 2 of Leia, one for my shelf and one for a stand-in in front of my Jabba, and the helmet on for my little world building for Return of the Jedi Jabba Palace. Yeah, man. I was this close, and I think I even said it in my chats. I was tempted to buy two of those again because I just love the Bausch like helmet disguise. That as a figure alone would have been awesome. But then yeah, it's such a shame to like not use that Leia sculpt. So I'm really torn. It's one of those figures where I'm really torn on displaying one or the other. And so like I can justify to myself buying two. I said the same thing with Sabine from the Ahsoka show, like beautiful head sculpt, but I also like her Mandalorian helmet look. And so yeah, I was this close to buying two. I still may. I'm not ruling it out, but again, going back to Hot Toys, you know how they do. They may come out with another version. Maybe we'll get some sort of Episode 5 version of Leia. Yeah, I'm not sure or some sort of Episode 6 variation. I don't know. We'll see. I touched on this when I discussed the Leia announcement. I'm sorry if I already said this, but Hot Toys has yet to do like a 2.0, like a proper 2.0 of a Leia figure. Like each iteration has been different. And this Bouche disguise is no different, right? We never got a Bouche disguise before, and so I think it seems like Hot Toys may continue that trend. You would think at some point though they're going to start doing 2.0s, right? Quote unquote 2.0. So we'll see. I don't know. And so that's what I'm waiting for, to see what Hot Toys comes out with if they announce some other version of Leia. Otherwise, if not, I may have to get two of those Bouche disguise. Let's see here. Figured out adding. I do hope we get more James Bonds, Connery, Moore, Dalton, Brosnan. They can keep George Lazenby. Yeah, I don't think you're alone in that one, because I think I've heard people, they don't really speak. That's not a name that comes up, at least from what I hear. I'm personally not a big James Bond fan. I mean, I do like the Craig movies and GoldenEye, of course. I do like enjoy the movies, but I should say I'm not a fan like to the point where I need to get a figure of James Bond. But I do really like some of the movies. Some of the movies have been great. So I'm personally passing on the Bond figures for now, unless one that comes out that really blows me away. But yeah, all the love that I'm seeing for James Bond in general, for the the 007 franchise. Those are the names that they mention. Figure it out, kind of confirming here. City Hunter Predator 1.0 had a battle damage version. Okay, yeah, thanks for confirming that. Yeah, that was, I'm guessing that was a while ago, right? You said 1.0, so let me know how long ago that was, because like I said, there's just so many Predators. I can't remember all. I'm not really good with the years to begin with, unless it was recent or I've done the research. So, yeah, I guess that's not really surprising to hear that they've done it before. I just wasn't sure. So yeah, thanks for clarifying that. Okay, now going on to the Artisans announced last year. So these are all the Artisans that were announced last year. Some of them I kind of already touched on. But top left, we got the Winter Soldier. I kind of mentioned that earlier. The Bucky from Winter Soldier, or Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Darth Vader, Sith Apprentice. I touched on that one. The Obi-Wan from Episode 2. I'm going out of order here. So Obi-Wan from Episode 2, a.k.a. Space Jesus. A lot of people were calling him. Weapon X, I touched on from Deadpool & Wolverine, the Age of Apocalypse version. Bank Robber Joker 2.0. The Sam from Death Stranding 2. I touched on that. The John Wick from, I think that's Chapter 1, John Wick. That one was, there was some debate on that one. That was one of the Artisans that I mentioned, where people were kind of debating sculpted versus Artisan. A lot of people, myself included, were saying that I don't think this figure needed an Artisan. And again, that's just for me personally. I know there's still appreciate and want that more realistic hair looking, or that realistic look of hair on a figure. Wait, why am I having trouble with that? That realistic look, right, for that wool hair on a figure. So yeah, again, I know it goes back to preferences, but it's just kind of one of those. It's good to have the options, right? I know some of these Winter Soldier, Weapon X, they didn't have sculpted versions, right? It was just Artisan only. So at least for John Wick, they gave people that option. Harley Quinn's another one that had the option. That one looks great. From the Suicide Squads here, bottom, what is it, on the bottom second from the left. I opted to go with the sculpt, but after considering it, thinking about it more, I think I would like to have the Artisan, but by then I was just too late. So that's on me. I know that's my fault. But I got on the wait list just in case, so we'll see if that converts. But either way, I'm not going to be mad if I only get the sculpted, because that still looks great. So I'm not going to be pissed either way. So I'll be happy. I probably would like to have the Artisan over the sculpting in that case. Yeah, it just looks great, man. That figure just by itself, great looking figure. The Mustafar Vader here on the bottom. Let's see here. That's the one I already mentioned. Yeah, the Mustafar. Let's see. Wait, Why am I feel like I'm forgetting one? Oh, I think I did. The Sith Apprentice. Yeah, so I think I did skip one here. I'm just realizing that. So sorry. Yeah, I think that one was announced and released last year. So we got two Artisan Anakins, right? There's the Sith Apprentice one. That was I believe that was the Celebration one, the Star Wars Celebration. And then we also got this Darth Vader, like labeled Darth Vader, right? But it's Anakin's head sculpt. Darth Vader, the Mustafar version there on the bottom. And we got Higgs also from Death Stranding 2, like I mentioned, and then Eve Macaro, the infamous Eve Macaro there from the ballerina on the bottom right. So those were all the Artisans released. And again, apologies if I missed them. There was a lot to kind of keep track with, and I try to do my best to keep track of everything. So, but if I miss anything, just let me know in the chat in their comments and let other know. So, I try to do what I could. Let's see here. Okay. Where are we at? So those were all the Artisans announced. We're still in the announcements of Hot Toys. Let me address the chat actually here before we go on. We got Commander Green in the house. What's up, Commander Green? Good sir. Thank you for coming through. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Thank you. 2000. Okay, figure it out. 2008 was Battle Damage 800. Oh, okay. I thought it was further out than that. Almost 20 years then. Okay, so I guess that is still a while. Thanks again. Figure it out. Appreciate it. Yeah. Again, the guy's. He does his homework also, so he does his own research. So yeah, thanks for confirming that. Okay, let's see here. So first, so these are Hot Toys announcements with a first of something, right? The first of these released to have something. And again, I may have gotten some of these wrong, so I'm just letting you know now. If I do, feel free to correct me in the chat, the comments. I haven't been collecting as long as some of you out there. I know some of you have been collecting for a while, early 2000s. So I'm not, and even if I did, I don't have the memory to remember what came out when. It's just so many figures. We're already like an MMS, for example, like 800 and something. So it's out there. So yeah, apologies if I missed something, but please feel free to correct me. Let others know where my errors are. I mentioned Darth Vader here, starting with the top left. The first Star Wars from the first. Well, him and the Stormtroopers were the first Star Wars figures in the Hona line. Soft buy, I touched on this earlier, for Galactus, the first collectible in the soft buy line for Galactus there for Hot Toys. For the first collectible from the soft buy line is Galactus from Fantastic Four. First steps there. Bank Robber Joker, I touched on this earlier already. First Artisan to have two head sculpts, two implanted wool hair head sculpts labeled Artisan. Again, I know to clarify, we've had, like I said, Beetlejuice. He had two head sculpts that were labeled, that were described as having Artisan. Wool implanted hair, but that wasn't labeled Artisan. So this is just as Artisan based figure. So I'm hoping we see more like this, right? Because that's, I think it's an awesome value. We'll see how it turns out. I know the execution may be a different story, but we'll see. We'll see how that one. How the final comes out. But yeah, two head sculpts for that Bank Robber Joker, the one you see there, and then one with the mask on, which was an awesome. Which has me thinking. I don't know if I touched on this earlier, but I'm curious to see if the mask can be removed at all, because I know he does also come with a separate. I'm pretty sure he comes with a separate mask accessory that he can hold to recreate that scene in The Dark Knight at the beginning when he's holding the mask in his hand, right? So, but I don't recall reading if you can remove the mask from the second head sculpt, which is fine. Like I said, for me personally, I'm okay with it. I'll just put that one on this body and then use the unmasked head sculpt on my purple coat Joker, and then bada bing, bada boom. I'm good to go. So let's see, top right. So this Artisan Anakin, another one that was so many Anakins last year. Not as much as Batman, right? Batman had the most iterations or most versions. Anakin, like I mentioned, was close behind, close second. But this is a sculpted version. So this was the first Hot Toys figure, again, that I'm aware of. I might be wrong here, but the first one with interchangeable eyes. I know this was one of those things where a lot of collectors kind of point out and speculate, and there might be truth behind it, right? But I think this came shortly after, or not too long after, those previous Artisan Anakins were coming out, right? People were saying that they got the one with the standard looking eyes, but they would rather have like a Sith version. And so there was a third party seller who was making the eyes, and I forget who, but they made eyes to give collectors the option to swap out the eyes for the Sith eyes. And a lot of collectors were doing that. And then, lo and behold, Hot Toys comes out with this version that actually has interchangeable eyes. And so a lot of people were saying like, oh yeah, now Hot Toys just, just copying them and doing that. And like I've mentioned that with other things, right? With the rooted hair and things like that, which I personally don't see as a bad thing, right? I mean, everyone in all fields and all industries, they all kind of borrow, I want to say borrow from other things. And I mean, that's just in general how companies improve or progress, right? I mean, if they didn't have interchangeable, if Hot Toys didn't have interchangeable eyes, for example, or rooted hair, and they just kept doing what they're doing, I think, collectors would probably it'd just get tired of Hot Toys, or they just, they wouldn't really see the innovation in there. So like they're progressing. Granted, yes, they are taking features from other companies, but again, I know a lot of companies do that. So it's just, them kind of keeping up with the trends, right? And it's just them improving in that sense and competitive, right? Competitiveness. It's just a competitive market, so it's good to see that these companies are pushing each other. And without that, like I mentioned, Hot Toys probably would still be doing what they're doing, right? Like I don't know if they'd have USB. Who knows how long until we actually got that in an Iron Man? So I kind of see it as a good thing. I don't see it as a negative, because I know we have like, for instance, like if Inart were to get the Disney Marvel license, Hot Toys is already doing this. I know a lot of people would be happy if they were to do that, right? Right now, people are pissed or upset or disappointed that Hot Toys just has that market cornered on the Star Wars and Marvel. So, I don't know if anyone's gonna say like, oh well, like Inart's only taking the figures that Hot Toys is already doing. So, I just see it as a good competition, right? To push each other, for each companies to push each other and to progress. And again, that just applies in general, right? Not just figures. So I just kind of wanted to something I wanted to point out for that point, or that aspect of it, of collecting. Continuing on, going to the bottom left, we got the deck from Predator Badlands, and this was the first Predator to have, I believe, seamless arms. So again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I touched on the Feral Predator prior that had single jointed elbows, visible joints. A lot of people were excited to see seamless arms on this Predator here. I know the Feral Predator, actually, I forgot to point out, that had seamless torso, right? Even though it had visible jointed elbows, the upper torso was seamless, so that was a plus there. This one, the deck or deck and Thea from Predator Badlands, the deck figure seems to have seamless arms as well. So we'll see how that comes out. I know a lot of people, collectors, were excited for that one. Iron Man, Superior Iron Man here in the bottom, second from the left. Again, announced first to have full USB. The endoskeleton from T2 here in the bottom as well, going over. That's the first to, I believe, have die cast for endoskeleton. And then the bottom right, this one I might be mistaken on. I know this is one of the figures that had this, but the Obi-Wan Kenobi from Episode 3. This is the battle damage, the quote-unquote battle damage version of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Let me see here. The Mustafar version, basically. So I believe this was the first, I know, if not one of the very first to have implanted wool hair on his fringe, right? I know Hot Toys advertise that. So basically his bangs, he has implanted hair there up front where the rest is sculpted. I know there's right now there's mixed feelings on how that is, and whether collectors are okay with that or not. I think others just didn't like the consistency. Some are still on the fence, myself included. We'll see how that comes out. Either way, as a figure itself, I was excited to see that version, that battle, especially that base he comes with, the diorama base. So I pre-ordered that one. I'm looking forward to that one. Both these two here on the far right, man. I think overall a lot of collectors were happy to see this, the Anakin, the Episode 3 Anakin with the swap out eyes, and this battle damage Mustafar Obi-Wan Kenobi, just to recreate that iconic scene right from Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, so awesome, myself included. So I had to pre-order both of those. That the Anakin, the sculpted hair, I didn't touch on that, but a lot of people were praising that's the way that sculpted hair looks in the prototype. Better than some of the Artisans, right? That was one of the points I made about sculpted in some cases being better than Artisan, right? You can't get Artisan hair to look a certain way, like have a dynamic look to it, right? It's just, unless you're really skilled at styling hair, there's just some things you won't be able to do, right? Where sculpted, you can just nail it. Dynamic styling is one of those. Right? So yeah, that sculpted hair on the Anakin looks great. Going back to the Obi-Wan here, the Mustafar. I know Jack Sparrow had a mix of implanted wool hair and sculpted as well, but that was more in his dreads. For that one, he had his beard. I think in all versions, even the Artisan, I think his beard was still sculpted. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but of course the Artisan Jack Sparrow that had fully Artisan implanted wool hair, or sorry, implanted wool hair. The deluxe was like a mix, where like some dreads were wool and others were sculpted. And that's the same. I think the same for the standard as well. But either way, he was in the dreads, right? This one here specifically has like the bangs as being implanted hair, wool implanted hair. Okay, let's see here. So that was the first for the announcements. Again, if I'm missing something, yeah, please let me know in the comments if there's any other first for Hot Toys, or if I'm mistaken on any of these, let me know. Okay, where are we at? So Hot Toys, that was it for Hot Toys. Man, yeah, like I said, they dominated, of course, as they usually do in quantity, volume there. They have a lot of IPs that they're covering, so of course, a good chunk of the stream is going to be Hot Toys. But there are other contenders in the 1/6 scale market. Another major one, I would say, whether you want to compare them in some instances to Hot Toys or not, that's up to some collectors. I know some figures there are similar, comparable. Others they're not. They're just more a higher tier of a 6 scale collectible, and that is Inart here. So the Inart releases for last year, 2025. We had the top left, the Paul Atreides from Dune, Hermione Granger from the Harry Potter and the Philosopher's / Sorcerer's Stone, Wukong, the Great Sage Armor from Black Myth Wukong there on the top, second from the right, and then the Michael Jackson Jam version there on the top right. Sorry, so Wukong second from the right, and then Michael Jackson on the top right here. That was released. Bottom left going down, Legolas from the Fellowship of the Ring, Lord of the Rings, along with Nazgul, the Nazgul here. Awesome head sculpt, by the way, there on the Nazgul. Joking, of course. The Snape here from Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, right? So this is one that's separate from not the Sorcerer / Philosopher's Stone. This is the Half-Blood Prince. That was actually based on, revolved around Snape there. So that was released. And then on the bottom right, towards the end of the year, also around the same time as Snape, we got Thorin Oakenshield from The Hobbit, right? So Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit. Those, yeah, all of these looking great, man. Of all these, Snape is going to be my first. Inart, I know I mentioned that multiple times. I'm really looking forward to getting that figure. Multiple levels of having that representation of Alan Rickman, of course, R.I.P. He lost a great actor. But not only that, like I've mentioned before, from Harry Potter, I like more of the instructors, or like the adults in the films, the villains, right? I really cared too much for the trio. It was more about for the instructors or the villains, all the grown-ups in that series. Snape being one of them. Yeah, so this one I had to get. Awesome, he looks great, so I'm looking forward to getting. That's gonna be my first Inart figure. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, Inart tackles a Sirius Black. That would be another one I'd want to see, and a Bellatrix Lestrange, played by Helena Bonham Carter, and then Sirius Black, played by Gary Oldman. Yeah, man, those I would definitely get those as well if Inart did those. Well, barring, let's see how much those cost first, right? Depending on how much they cost. I know Snape was pricey as well, but still I thought he was worth it, so we'll see how that comes out with the magnetic eyes, mind you. I think that was one of the few, I'm trying to remember now, that had magnetic eyes, which seemed to work great. Let's see, the consensus on that figure on Snape seems to be great. Paul Atreides, I didn't get Paul Atreides obviously, like I said, but a lot of same thing, consensus is a lot of people said that was a great figure from the first Dune there, so we'll see if Inart does an Atreides from Doom 2. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Inart comes up with here this next year. They're pumping them out, man. They're pumping out their figures. Speaking of news and some announcements, I'm not going to cover all the announcements because again, this is Inart came out with a lot. What did I put? Like 16 here? I can't. What was see here? 16 figures announced, and so. It was quite a bit. Those included, Denji. Some of these were already released, and so that's why another reason why I didn't include them. So like Wukong, like for instance, Snape, Thorin, those were announced last year as well. So I didn't bring those up. But yeah, of course, the Walking Dead figures, those all look great. Daryl, Negan, Rick, like yeah, all his figures look great. Those were all announced last year. A couple of different versions of, or more figures from Black Myth Wukong the game. Some surprising ones slash controversial slash debatable figures though. Denji here on the far left from Chainsaw Man, that kind of came out of nowhere from Inart. A lot of people were like, whoa, what the hell? You go from all these realistic looking figures to this anime figure, Denji Chainsaw Man. But to be fair, and I didn't realize this until I started doing a little more research on this. I thought I wrote it down here, but oh yeah, okay. So, oh yeah, I did. So Denji was announced. He was announced in March, but he was only exclusive to mainland China, if I understood that correctly. So he never came stateside, or I guess anywhere else outside of China, for that matter. So yeah, kind of surprising there. I guess there was a big, or I guess for some reason there was a big push or a campaign maybe to get Denji from Chainsaw Man. I'm not sure, but yeah. So not only that, but just the fact that a different approach to what Inart's been doing as far as like, more realistic, seamless bodies. I mean, granted, Denji's based on an anime, right? Obviously Chainsaw Man, so maybe they probably went that's what they were thinking. We're like, well, I guess how much sense would it make to give him a seamless body if he's an animated character? I know some collectors would still argue like, okay, well, no, yeah, he doesn't have joints in the anime either, and it's not truly accurate, and so I know some people still prefer that, but even still, right, that still goes to that further supports the fact that like why Inart went this route. And I didn't see any interviews or read anything about why they did this, so if you guys can fill me in on why they went that route with that aesthetic, the visible joints for Denji, please let me know, educate me. So yeah, that was that. Superman from Superman, like the James Gunn Superman, the Corn Sweat Superman. This one was surprising and controversial because another one that came out of nowhere. Like as far as I'm aware, I don't think this was teased. Maybe some collectors knew or people on the inside, but I don't remember seeing a tease on this. It seems like he was announced in July. This was like not too long after Hot Toys made their announcement of their Corn Sweat Superman, which came out pretty quick, by the way. That same year, I think it came out that year. The same year, announced and released the same year last year, right? 2025. But after Hot Toys announced theirs, yeah, Inart just came out and be like, surprise, we got one too. And this is another one where I was saying like, this is one of those instances where I think they're directly comparable because they're both sculpted, right? And they both had similar features and accessories, and it just kind of came down to preference at that point, which is fine. Again, it's just some people like certain aspects of another compared to the other one, and I did that comparison on when I discussed this, when I discussed that figure on a previous Hot Talk. I can't remember if it was for the Hot Toy Superman or the Inart Superman, but yeah, I did some comparisons on accessories, the coloring, and the head sculpts and things like that. Just because I thought it'd be good info to have for collectors there. But yeah, I mean, I kind of feel in that same situation where there's some I liked about one and others, or in some features I liked on the other one and some I didn't. So like the base, for example, one seemed to have a better, bigger base, and one had the better accurate colors, proportions, and all that. So yeah, it just how it is, it goes up. But yeah, so that's surprising in the sense that Inart came out and announced theirs not too long after Hot Toys, seemingly out of the blue, right? Out of the blue and red. Wonder Woman. This one, I think we all know the story about this one. This was kind of another one that was a weird announcement slash promotional. Like the way they promoted this and the way they released this figure was kind of weird. Yeah, there was a lot of people kind of criticizing the look on this one. Some people were on board with it, some people weren't. Kind of similar to some of the other Hot Toys head sculpts we mentioned earlier, as far as like it looking like Gal Gadot and others thinking it was off. And so, yeah, it's interesting how, like there's a lot of, this was pretty divided. I think probably the most for an Inart figure. I don't think I've seen this much, the community divided this much on an Inart figure. Usually, I think for the most part, people are, maybe there's a few collectors that don't agree, but not to this level. Like Wonder Woman seemingly had the most openly spoken debate, I should say, both like in the comments in the chat and like among the YouTubers / content creators. So yeah, this was kind of interesting. But apparently, according to Payne, shout out to Payne Collectibles, he's saying that this was, he sells Inart figures, and he was saying this is one of his most to date pre-ordered figures of Wonder Woman. So it seems like that, according to Payne. So that was interesting to hear. So yeah, I'm not sure what the I guess people are, they're kind of just going based off Inart's reputation, that in the end it's still going to come out at least good, right, if not great. So I think they're just kind of getting it now, and to avoid the chance of possibly missing out later on. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. This is what I'm curious to see. I want to track and follow and see how this one comes out. I mean, I'm thinking it's going to come out. It's going to come out at least good, right? I think I'm kind of in that camp where, typically from what I've seen from Inart, their finals have been coming out good, if not great, and so they tend to listen seemingly to the comments and the critiques of the collecting community, good or bad, however you want to see that. But yeah, we'll see how that comes out. And then last but not least, yeah, this fresh in our heads, this T800 from the first Terminator. Oh man. What is not to say about that one? One thing after another. I think you guys know, but to sum it up, yeah, this was another weird announcement, right? Kind of around Christmas time, slash the holidays here in the States. Yeah, they put this. So they had streams on this. They put this up for pre-order. Their live stream of Q&A did not go well. Man, I don't think to this day, I think people are still memeing the hell out of that QA stream. There was a female representative there who was, answering questions from the chat. It was just basically a live stream just to show off the figure, the prototype, I should say, the different versions. And she was taking just solely to ask questions to anyone who had them in the chat. And then one of the figures ended up falling over right live on the stream. And then, yeah, that just got clipped to hell. So, yeah, I don't think we'll see the end of that. It was just, yeah, I agree. Yeah, it could have been better. I mean, they had their reasons for doing what they did, but so yeah, a lot of controversy in that this was initially announced as one figure with different looks, right? The battle damage or somewhat / semi battle damage, and then later on they came out saying in that live stream that they're coming out with 2 bodies, and then so you get 2 sets of bodies, and yeah, it was just the whole thing. And still only 1 base last I heard, and collectors are kind of speaking out saying that they should include 2 bases, which I think is understandable. So I mean, I'm neutral either way. I have no duck in that race because I'm not getting it. I already have my T2 versions, and those are the ones that I prefer anyways. But again, I think this is another one where I think Hot Toys will. Sorry, I keep saying Hot Toys. Sorry, y'all. No disrespect. I'm used to saying Hot Toys, and it's like, most of the stream is that. So apologies, no offense. But Inart. I'm sure Inart will address some of these, if not all of them, later on. Again, no guarantee, but just based on the past and their reputation and how they've been so far, I think it'll come out looking good, if not great. So. Yeah, we should. Oh, the whole movable eye / LED eye thing. Now, a lot of people were kind of upset that it didn't come with an LED eye. But I think it seems like Inart sacrificed that for having movable eyes, and they were saying that this figure does have movable eyes. So I think, engineering wise, that'd be really tricky to do both, to have movable and LED light up. Right? I don't even think Hot Toys has done that. Not to say Hot Toys is the standard, but still, that's just something that if you have a moving part that is also wired up somehow, I think that just could cause issues in the future. So it's one or the other. I heard some people suggest in that case, maybe have one head sculpt, because it does come with 2 head sculpts. Have one head sculpt be LED, and then one just have the movable eyes. So yeah, that's an alternative there. That's a good solution. So, but like I said, I don't know, we'll see what Inart comes up with and how they address this. As always, keep if you have concerns. Of course, keep hitting them up on their socials, Facebook and Instagram. They seem to be pretty receptive to that. So yeah, just let them know. Just let them know, folks. All right, let me address the chat. Apologies, I don't want to leave you guys out. I know it's been a minute. TS Beam saying, I have her ordered. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, so Wonder Woman. Yeah, I think S Beam. I think you're in that group who are hopeful and are optimistic that Inart will address this and the final will be Well, great. Yeah, just in general, man. And I think the consensus is like Inart figures in general have been great. Like I said, I don't have any, so I can't speak to them myself. But just based on what I've seen, they look great. Yeah, there are some who don't like the way Inart has done some other things, which is again, that's fair. We all have our preferences. I know they don't either like the head sculpt, or maybe it's just not. They don't need that level of what is it? I'm like blanking on the term, like that. Luxury slash like I don't want to say premiere. What's the word that higher tier level 6 scale collectible, right? Because like I mentioned before, Inart has come out in the beginning. I said that they're more of like a upper, like higher tier collectible, right? Some of the stuff they bring is like premium quality, like materials and implanted wool hair, and they do have levels themselves within Inart, right? They have like their higher tier, and I forget they're all based on metal, like elemental metals. Like I forget which one is which, but yeah, they had tiers themselves, and some of them, like the Superman, for instance, doesn't have implanted wool hair; it just has sculpted. So they're figures like that; they just have sculpted hair. The Terminator, for example, doesn't have sculpted hair. So yeah, even within Inart, they have tiers, and then some people, prefer just if that's going to be the case, they prefer go to Hot Toys or some other company, which is again understandable, right? Like I just appreciate the fact that we have all these options across the board, and I know I say this a lot, but it's true. Right? I just appreciate having the options as opposed to one company just doing, one particular character slash figure. Again, Hot Toys having Marvel and Star Wars having that license. Well, I guess Sideshow, if you want to count Sideshow having Star Wars as well. But yeah, I know there's a lot of people who would like to see what Inart can do. And again, you can have both, right? There's no reason just to say one is better than the other. They each have their pros and cons, and it's just part of collecting. Having that option, that preference of our collection, that collecting journey. Right? It's really awesome to have those out there in general. So yeah, they both are great figures in their own right. Let's see. Figured out saying that poor Inart girl was way out of her depth. Yeah, I think that's the consensus too. I think we all, shout out to whoever you are. If you happen to be watching this and you're that you're that woman who did the stream, much mad respect to you, because I know that couldn't have been easy. I know you were kind of doing what you can based on the information that was given to you. In English not being her first language, I think you handled that really well, and you did what you could, and so nothing that that you did wrong. I mean, you did what you could, and I think you killed it, to be honest. So it's just the information, the preparation that you could have had. I think they could have probably been better prepared in that sense. So yeah, I agree. Figure it out. As being saying, I'm still curious why they did 2 live streams. Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, 2 live streams, one after the other. Inart did on the T800, and they seemingly be the same thing, just repeating the same questions. Or answering the same questions. Okay, granted, collectors didn't catch the first one, so they go to the next one. But they end up asking the same questions that we're asking. Yeah, it was just weird. I think overall it just could have been handled better. My opinion was it could have been a pre-recorded, right? If you wanted to show off the figure, do a pre-recording, and then just narrate over that, right? Or just kind of do the same thing but make it pre-recorded, or even do a premiere, right? I know that's an option, to do the YouTube premieres where you premiere a pre-recorded video, but you also have someone in the chat answering questions. That actually could have been the best approach right there, best of both worlds, right? So you show the figure and provide the information at the same time. Someone's in the chat who off screen, right? So you don't need anyone to be on screen. You could have just have like a well knowledgeable individual rep at Inart answering all the questions there. That could have been, but again, learning experiences, that's growing pains. Again, every company goes through that. I know other people would argue that Queen Studios has been in the game, but this is Inart, right? The sub company of Queen Studios. I don't know. It's just a lot of things in there. I don't want to go too much into it, but every company, they learn through through experience, and they just kind of build on their failures and they go from that. So I'm sure they'll get it. They'll do a better job next time and learn from it. Hopefully, right? Hopefully that's the case. Okay. All right. Going on to. So that was all I had for Inart. Again, I don't want to cover all the announcements. There was quite a few. And some of them I already touched on here, but a lot of great stuff coming from Inart, so I'm curious to see. And again, anticipating getting my Snape in hand. That'll be my first Inart experience, so we'll see how that comes when that gets shipped. All right. Going from Inart, so there were some other companies that came out with that were pretty active last year. One of them being Jazzinc. A lot of collectors in 1/6 scale are familiar with their work. Mostly Jazzinc, in case you don't know, started off with vehicles, dioramas, right? And so they just entered they're kind of dipping their toes in the water for 1/6 scale figures. Catwoman being the first. When now I'm like forgetting if that went up 2024. I think that was 2024, right? That went up for pre-order. And it's set to release actually pretty soon. I think Q1 of this year, of 2026. So I think that's why I didn't include it in here. Yeah, she was, I think, correct me if I'm wrong here in the chat, but last year, 1/6 scale wise, we got, let's see here. So Batman, the animated series, to go along with again, I mentioned Jazzinc doing vehicles. They're doing the Batmobile from the animated series, right, in 2 variants, I believe. And I don't really cover vehicles on my channel just because I'm not really into vehicles. I don't have any vehicles, so I don't follow them that closely. So I personally don't cover them. But for the figures, Jazzinc is opted to do the animated series Batman in 2 versions. So I have here on the far left, this is the animated body style, right? So I thought that was that cool. Then give people the option because another company in Jazzinc that is receptive to getting feedback and even actually like solicit it, right? They openly ask for the collectors and get their thoughts and input. You can kind of see that as a good or a bad. But either way, they're still open to getting that feedback from collectors, which I admire actually. So that's kind of cool that they're getting the community involved, right? So in the end, this would be a kind of community developed product for some of these, right? For some of them, not all of them, but so all that to say, yeah, he offered 2 versions based on the Batman animated series. So the animated body, and then the second from the left next to that is the realistic body, right? So you can kind of see the difference a little bit. The animated one has that iconic, more like upside down triangular / V-shaped body, and then the realistic body has, you can see more like the defined pecs and the abs there, and then the muscle tone in his legs. So he offered those 2 versions, and then following the Catwoman from Batman Returns, Jazzinc put up pre-orders for the Penguin, played by Danny DeVito from Batman Returns. So also 2 versions. You got the mayor version here in the middle, and on the far right, the sewer version. And each one has a couple of different looks. The sewer version also had like the coat with the fur around it. The coat with the fur. But you also get this pretty nasty, gnarly head sculpt on the sewer version towards the end where he had all that blood coming out of his mouth. And so, yeah, giving collectors, again, the option. Another thing that Jazzinc does is if you can't decide between either and you want both, he puts them in like an ultimate combo pack, so you can get both. There's, for most of them, he usually does also like a basic version, a deluxe version of each, and then the combo pack. So you have like 5 SKUs there for each one. Some may get overwhelmed, but again, I appreciate having the options because maybe sometimes you want more from a specific version, or you'd rather not be like isolated just having one version. You kind of want another look. So I appreciate that for sure. So that's just again, that's just me, but a lot of options there. This Penguin though, this one had its own kind of controversy in that, I guess, debate. I know I use that word a lot, but I mean, you want to call it whatever you want to call it, debate, hot topic, or hot talk, hence the name of my other show, Hot Topic. The NRD for this one at a couple of, so where this was available here in the States, right, because this is not a worldwide license for this Danny DeVito Penguin. So for collectors in the States or outside who this wasn't readily available, the places where you were able to get this, the NRDs for this figure was pretty high. I mean, almost the price of one Hot Toy figure, or even an Inart figure in some cases. And so that was enough to like deter collectors from being like, no, I'm out, that's just too high, which is a big gamble, right? I think to date, Jazzinc hasn't put out any figure, right? It's all like, they have all these prototypes and announcements up, but they have yet to put out an official figure, right? So the Catwoman will be their first. So I know there's still some collectors that are kind of on the fence, or a little hesitant, just because they haven't seen the execution of Jazzinc yet on their collectibles, which is fair, definitely understandable because these aren't cheap, right? This is a good chunk of money, especially if you're going to be paying a high NRD, right? And then for some reason, if the figure, if the final is not well executed or doesn't come out how you were expecting, and you want to cancel, you're losing a couple of bills there, man. A couple of $100 USD, if at the least. Some are actually like, I think some of the NRDs are like 150 around there, but still, that's a good chunk of change to take a gamble. And so, I mean, and I get it, man. I definitely get it. That is a risk. And even if the Catwoman comes out awesome, it does come out great, that's not to say like every figure after that will be the same as well, right? Because we've seen from other companies, they can't all be bangers. They can't all be hits. They're going to have some misses along the way. And it's just, again, it's just how every company is. They're not all going to be perfect. And so, but yeah, to have a high NRD for a figure, that just makes it that much more difficult to sell or even like have collectors pull the trigger. So there's another one where I'm going to be tracking the Danny DeVito Penguin just to see how that comes out. Because I'm curious. It does look great based on the prototype, but we'll see how the final comes out. Let's see here. Figured out saying I'm all in on both Jazzinc 2-packs, so I hope they turn out well. Yeah, man, I'm with you too. For all of you who are taking the risk, taking the gamble, and be like, you know what, all on red, bam, throwing it down there. You guys are confident. I mean, and granted, that I will say though, with their vehicles, from everyone who's owned their vehicles, I've heard nothing but good things about the customer service, and even from Yost himself, he's the man heading Jazzinc. He said on his live streams and in chats and in his own Facebook group, hey, if for some reason you have issues and you don't like something, and it's within reason, right? Let him know, and he'll give you a full refund. I can't even like count how many times he said that on like live streams. Like, hey, people say like in the chat, say like, I had this issue, and it's like, hey, well, if you have issues and you don't like it, just let me know. You get a full refund. And so, I will say, props to him for it seems like seemingly good customer service. There's another one I don't have any figures or vehicles from. They just, were too much of a space hog for the vehicles, and so I haven't gotten any. But from those who have the vehicles, I've heard like if something wasn't right, Yost at Jazzinc, he did what he could to make them whole, basically to fix and get it corrected. So I will say that. So I think a lot of people are just kind of going off of that and saying, you know what, even if there is issues, I think Yost will get it corrected, get it solved. But again, that doesn't, we'll see how the execution goes, right? We'll see for like, again, us in the States, if we get it through a middleman, how is that process going to be? And we have yet to see. I have no experience in that, so I can't speak on it. I've just got based off what I'm hearing from others. So yeah, we'll see how they turn out. But all that to say, I do hope they turn out great for all you collectors who put your money down and are looking forward to this. I did, kind of like a side note for me personally, I was hesitant on the Catwoman. I did want a Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman, and I was really tempted, but I held off. I was one of the ones who like, I'm going to hold off, wait to see how it comes out. But Jazzinc did, or Yost did put up like a cutoff time, and so I wasn't sure how this was going to be, because this is their first official figure, so I wasn't sure how this was going to be, how readily available it was going to be afterwards when it does come out, right? And so I was like, oh, man, okay, you know what? And I've been following the progress and updates on Jazzinc Yost's Facebook, his page and the group, and he's pretty good. Again, he's pretty good about providing those updates. Okay, this is what the body looks like. This is the test. And so I think after that, I've seen enough to be like, you know what, I'm pretty confident that's going to turn out well. And so now I decided to jump on that. I'm taking that gamble too. I put my money down for the clean version, the deluxe clean version of the Catwoman. And so, yeah, I'm there with you guys. Hopefully, it does come out great. But it does look great. I'm not going to lie. It looks great. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Figured out adding, I hear Jazzinc Catwoman will be released in May and June. Okay. I thought it was Q1, but maybe they pushed it back. I'm not sure. Either way, I'm all for, hey, let them cook. If you need more time to get it right, I don't mind waiting. That's just me. I know some collectors are like, no, I want it now. Why are you taking so long? But I'm on the other side. I'm like, hey, you know what? Just do it. Just do it right. Take your time to do your craft. Do what you got to do. Less to worry about, less hassle later on, right? So, just do your thing, Jazzinc. Just I'm gonna let them cook, let them do their thing, and hopefully we got a great figure in the end. Okay, so another one. This is kind of dwindling down now to like the kind of like the other companies who haven't had too many big hits, but there are some that had some impacts in 2025 on the 1/6 scale side. This one, of course, was really big in the news. The Blitzway Ghostbusters 2.0. This one, yeah, for one, surprising, made a lot of quote unquote headlines, not news headlines like in the media outlet, but on the collecting front, right? There was just a lot of buzz about these. For one, because the reputation or the MO for Blitzway usually in the past has been they don't do 2.0s or re-releases. Once they make a figure and it's sold out, that's it. And so actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I ever got heard or read a reasoning on why they came out with these Ghostbusters, the 2.0, like why they had a change of heart. But it seemed like people weren't even concerned about that. They were like, hey, bring it on. Yes, finally we get updated Ghostbusters. And the question on whether it's actually updated or not, I don't know. We have yet to see, because I heard people say that there seems to be some reuse, at least in the accessories or the bodies or the suits or something. I'm not sure. I didn't get the first Blitzway Ghostbusters, so I'm not sure. But yeah, I've heard mixed things on these. But limited edition, yeah, limited in themselves, right? They had two separate versions. So there was this 4-pack, which you can see here was limited to 1,500, I believe it is. And then there was a what they call a Doctor 3-pack, which had everybody but Winston, which is, again, another highly debatable hot topic in itself. I know the original Ghostbusters, I think that had that same option, right? Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was the same setup. It was a 3-pack, and then there was this 4-pack. So, yeah, interesting approach there, but it seems like regardless, that's the case here. That Doctor 3-pack was even more limited. I think that was 600. And then there was like a special bonus pack that came with Slimer and some other accessories. And so, yeah, all around, really limited, no matter which version you got. So it's kind of interesting. They did sell these individually as well. And I'm not sure if those, I just realized I forgot to kind of check up on that. But let me know. Yeah, I don't know if those were limited as well or not. But either way, 2.0s. Each one comes with 2 head sculpts. This is on I got this from their Blitzway Facebook page. And they have more photos there, so if you're interested, go ahead, feel free to check that out. Yeah, and this is another one I'm curious to see how these turn out. And this was kind of, there was unofficial third-party ones, Ghostbuster figures, which I ended up getting because I wasn't sure if they were going to get, like another version. I kind of was going off the basis that Blitzway wasn't going to re-release these, and so I'd already purchased those third-party ones. But honestly, like, they're not the best, but they're still good enough for me. So I'm like, I'm good. They do the job. They have that representation there, and I wasn't gonna kind of fork over the money for these as well, and let alone even try for them. So I'm like, I'm good, And a lot of people went that route as well. But then, those who did go that route, the Blitzway Ghostbusters, and it's just one of those situations, right? So it's part of the collecting game where you get something, and then not too long after you got a figure, another version comes along, or a better, quote unquote, better updated version. And so that's just, that's part of the game. Like I always mention, figure almanac, right? Reference to Back to the Future. If we had a figure almanac and we can see when a specific version of a character and how much it's going to be, we'd have more figures less figures and more money. But yeah, that's just the way it is. It's just that's the game. That is the game. Let's see what else we got here. So that was all for my slides. One more contender here for 6 scale. I didn't have a chance to go over the slides, but I did have the. Let me pull up the images here from their Facebook. Caustic Plastic also threw us some surprises as well, and some I was excited to see. They had a lot of talk, a lot of buzz on Caustic Plastic 2 last year. Starting off with this one, I know this one is probably not in that camp of the buzz, but this is Lupin the Third figures. This is kind of, I think, a lot similar to Inart coming out with that Denji. Again, granted that Denji from Chainsaw Man was only exclusive to China, but yeah, this was kind of questionable out of Caustic Plastic, these Lupin the Third figures, and I believe these were announced towards the beginning of last year, in January 2025, and put up for pre-order. So I'm guessing Fabio, who's the head of Caustic Plastic, maybe he's a fan of these, and he's like, yeah, he is one. Shout out to Fabio, by the way, Caustic Plastic, because I really appreciate this. He's a collector that is interested in doing figures that no one else does. He wants to do things that no one else is doing, and he's aware that it's for a niche market, right? There's like niche collectors who like certain things, and he still goes forward with it, man. He's just like progressing on. He's like, you know what, we're gonna make these figures. Granted, it won't be a lot, but I'm aware this is gonna be for a niche audience demographic out there. And he's like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyways, because either like I enjoy this or it's a figure I want to do. And so yeah, I for one really appreciate that. Not a lot of companies can pull that off because either they don't have that base / foundation of their business to take risks in that sense. But I think Caustic Plastic Fabio's been making figures for a while, so I think he's kind of set it up. I presume, I don't know him that well. It's not like I have his number on speed dial or anything, but from what I'm hearing from interviews, it seems like he has his business set up where that's just how he does his business plan, is just make enough figures to where they would make some profit, but then also continue on with the next, right? It's not about, from what I understand, making huge profits and not trying to compete with any of the big players. Just as long as he's able to put out the figures that he wants and that he enjoys. And Jazzinc is the same way, right? I know he's mentioned that Yost in interviews. He wants to put out because he's a collector also. He's a collector. And he wants to put out figures that he would have liked to see. And so, yeah, props to both of them and just kind of continuing that and doing their thing and making it happen. So, yeah, Lupin the Third, for all you collectors, fans of Lupin the Third, again, kudos, shout out to you for getting these figures. And if you're excited for them, yeah, more props to you, more power to you guys. So, Lupin the Third, I think, with some couple of figures here. I haven't seen that. I'm not familiar with the anime. I know of it, but I just haven't seen it. And I don't know too much about it. I think it's an older anime too. So yeah, they got some cool looking figures here. They seem to be straight out of the anime there. So Lupin the Third. Another one announced later on the middle of the year was Frankenstein here. This is Caustic Plastic Frankenstein. This is another one similar to Jazzinc where they had multiple SKUs. I think this one has 3 SKUs. And I forget exactly what they're called, but it was like a standard, of deluxe, and an exclusive version. Exclusive being to Caustic Plastic Infinite Statue. Right? You can only get it from like that website, where the other 2, I think they were sold at other online retailers. And each one had, more and more items. So like there's obviously your standard edition that came with some items, and then the deluxe added more, and then the exclusive, I think in this case, added an accessory, the dungeon accessory. And I went over this in previous Hot Talks, I think, or in Figure Lowdowns. I can't remember which one it was, but I did cover that, and I went over the differences in each one. I'm sure if you Google in my channel, Caustic Plastic Frankenstein, it'll come up there. I just realized, there's like a lot of these I did discuss, so there's a lot of information here. But yeah, so Frankenstein, a lot of people are excited for this one, a lot of collectors. Of course, especially those who are fans of the Universal Monster line. They did Dracula, I believe that was out already. The Phantom of the Opera, I believe that's out already. And I can't remember if they're doing the Mummy or if they did the Mummy already. But let me know. I know, but as far as Frankenstein, yeah, this was announced last year. So, and it does look great, man. I think at this time I mentioned this during when I discussed this. It looks great, and I would like to have it. Earlier, collecting Feezy would have been like, you know what, I'm sold when I only had like a few figures. But now that I'm honestly like already out of space, I have to be really selective and pick and choose. So I personally passed on this one, although damn, this diorama looks awesome. This dungeon wall here, that's like I think that, yeah, it says deluxe edition here, and I don't have the exclusive, I don't think, but the exclusive came with another part of the dungeon wall that actually had a door on it. And so yeah, this just looks awesome overall. Look at this, man, separate rolling eyeballs. Yeah, really, really cool. 12 inches of the figure itself. Yeah, this is like really, really awesome looking, man. So yeah, again, shout out to all you Universal Monster collectors who are looking forward to this. Let me see if I can, real quick. I don't think I have is this the, no, that's a standard. I was gonna see if I can pull up the exclusive real quick. I don't know if they have that on their Facebook page, but yeah, either way, you can see it on their website, Caustic Plastic website. So I did skip on this one because I knew this other one was coming, and this one I was excited for. This is Frank Dukes from Bloodsport. So another one Caustic Plastic put up for pre-order last year. And another one I gushed about. Man, Bloodsport grew up. I'm a kid of the 80s. And yeah, this is a movie no matter when they were showing it, at what point it started, I can always just turn it on and have it. We had whether it was like one of the cable channels, anytime they showed it, or even like on the local channels, on Saturdays where they had the movies, sometimes they show them. I was always watching it. Although I did, I had this recorded on VHS, and so this was always playing. Yeah, awesome movie, man. I loved everything about it, and I gushed already about this, so I won't go too much into it. But yeah, really looking forward to this figure. I got the exclusive version. The exclusive version has a third head sculpt and another coat / gi. I think the blue one, right? So again, each version, standard, deluxe, and the exclusive, you add more accessories and another head sculpt. Here we're looking at the exclusive version, right? So this red coat was one of them, the red coat or red gi and the pants, and I think the exclusive throws in the blue. Yeah, this one here, is this blue one? Yeah. Oh yeah, because there's the only one besides red is the blue one. So yeah, I think this one here, or I might be mistaken. I think the red one might be. So either way, you get 2 coats, and then the base is just him in his shorts. And this is another one actually that was kind of interesting. I forgot. I'm now remembering this. They're offering the body, like just the base body for this one. I think it was this figure, separately. So if you just want a seamless body, Classic is giving you an option. I think most likely because if you want to display the other accessories that this comes with, you can do that as well. So yeah, I think it does have the hands and the feet on the other body. You just throw on the head sculpt in another uniform, and bam, you're good. Yeah, seamless arms here, seamless torso. A lot of people weren't yet sold on the head sculpts, and I mean that's fair. Some photos it looks better than others, so we'll see how the final comes out. But either way, I think I'm still getting it regardless. It's still, hopefully it does come out great in the end. Fingers crossed. But I think I'm not gonna lie to myself. I think I would still get this regardless, because big fan of Bloodsport. Really inspirational for a lot of other movies after it, and a lot of other media after this movie. So yeah, great, iconic movie, man. Had to get this one. So looking for this one. So yeah, that was let's see, I think that was the main 3 anyways from Caustic Plastic. So apologies if I'm missing another one or some others. I'm trying to look here, but oh, there was J&D. Honestly, I kind of saved that for last, and if I had time type of thing, I would throw that in. But unfortunately, yeah, I was already kind of pushing it here, kind of coming up close to the deadline, so I didn't have any J&D slides in here. But I know they had their own controversy. Now, I don't follow J&D anyways. It's not something that I'm personally interested in, and I don't talk about that on my streams at all. I know there's a lot of other streams that do, but I just personally don't follow them. So that's why I was kind of like, yeah, well, if I have time, I'll cover it. But I know there is some issues with that, let alone like, obviously the price for what they're offering. I will say that the Heath Ledger Joker they put out, that got a lot of that was received pretty well from what I understand. A lot of people got that in hand, and they were saying it was actually pretty good. And again, I wasn't tracking. I know I had some ups and downs, came out with a higher price, and some other things happened. Yeah, I don't even know, to be honest. And so all I know is when people got it in hand, they were saying it was actually pretty good. They were surprised at how good it is. And I know they came out with the John Wick, and there was like a Two-Face from the Dark Knight trilogy. I'm forgetting his name, Aaron Eckhart, I think it is. That version of Two-Face was announced, and so yeah, there's quite a few. But yeah, I just didn't have enough time to get that in here, so apologies. But aside from that, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, that was it. Oh man, so yeah, thank you for sticking with me this whole time. Hopefully, you found this informative, entertaining, and/or you got some enjoyment out of it. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. It'll be much appreciated. Regardless, I appreciate your time watching this on replay or live. Your time was more than enough for me, so definitely appreciate your support. Like I said, this put a lot of time on this one, so hopefully you're able to take away something from this. And then yeah, until next year, 2026, like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing what all companies bring out, and even those that like newer companies too, right? And that goes for third party. I didn't cover third parties in this one, but I covered third parties in my figure lowdown stream and unlicensed figures. We never have a heads up on what they're releasing until it's like close to announcement date. But sometimes they surprise us out of the blue with just like some awesome figures, and they've been. I mean, I'm not gonna sell them short either, because a lot of third-party companies are stepping it up as well. Like, again, competition, borrowing from each other, and just improving and getting better. In the end, we all win as collectors, right? So we just enjoy this collecting hobby, and it's just a lot of great stuff out there. So I'm not gonna, I'm gonna keep an open mind. I don't want to, knock anybody or any company, and they all have something to offer. So I'm just looking forward to seeing what awesome, great figures we're going to get this year. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be hard, like I said, for me especially, to be selective and pick and choose. Again, I know it's like you hear that a lot from us here, content creators / YouTubers, or even in the community, just those voicing their, sharing their I want to say airing their grievances, but just kind of, venting, like, damn, I need to cut back. And yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And we already have a lot of announcements from Hot Toys, some of them that I went over, and from Inart, right, coming out next year. And those are all the ones that we're aware of. Like I said, who knows what the Hot Toys and Inart and other companies are going to come out with that are just going to catch us off guard, and we're going to be like, oh, damn, like, wow, that throws off my whole budget, or that throws off, my decision to kind of cut back, to see how well we're disciplined in that front. But either way, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing what they come out with. But yeah, thank you again, all. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your week. Again, Happy New Year. I hope this year treats you all well. Health and happiness to all of you. And just keep it locked on my channel. Of course, subscribe if you want to get notifications on when I do the next Hot Talk or Figure Lowdown or any of my other streams. And I have my other channel, Feezy's Media. That's where I cover my entertainment stuff, mostly focused on, as of now, TV and movie content. Of course, my socials, IG, Facebook, I'll post up stuff there as well. So yeah, all links in the description below, and I'll put in timestamps afterwards. Again, if you want to kind of jump to certain points back to certain points in the replay, I'll put those in as well for your convenience. So yeah, thank you all. I appreciate it. Much love. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day or your week. See y'all later.